Mic check, 1, 2. Osiris here. We're back. Middle MAGA, patriots of the American Republic. Carlos, friend of the show, Saul as well, saying that he is looking forward to this stream. So am I. I hope that it's a respectful stream, but I think our kindness as Americans and as people have been exploited as a weakness. And I think it's been exploited by an enemy overseas. I'm not going to talk about the CCP too much on this, but it's been exploited. However, it's been exploited, and now we've gone into this world of what seems to me like an overcorrection, a yearning to feel righteous. And I'm talking about the rise of the Transformers. It's like something. I mean, we've never seen anything like this before. We have never seen anything like this before. A political force that has risen up, taken over. They are spitting people out figuratively and literally, and have become a political and social force that is more powerful than any piece of legislation that you could provide. This identity of critical gender theory is going after children. That is the base. That is the whole goal of it. That is the mechanism that feeds it. And we're seeing it rise up into some significant power. And that's going to be the start of the live. Various stories that are going over this. And number one of which, what's going on, happened in San Francisco with Riley Gaines. Before I get into what happened with Riley, I do want to make sure that I want to start this off. Somebody had an amazing, respectful take on this, and I want to start off with their take on it. It was everything's from Twitter. Twitter's the world's newspaper for me, and I'm gonna pull it up here and read it. I think she did such an excellent job here in saying, because believe it or not, before I pull it up, believe it or not, I used to, at work, there was a time at work, and I would consider doing this again if we could get this atmosphere where I think it's a civil discourse. At one point, I had a wallpaper, like a virtual background. Like this is a virtual background right now. I had a virtual background that said was one of my favorite virtual backgrounds. Maybe I can find it. It was a Microsoft one. Microsoft Microsoft virtual background, love is love. And then we'll get into the Riley Gaines stuff. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And yep, it's one of my favorite backgrounds. It was I have it right here. Let me share my screen. I use this as my background for work for a long time. I just really liked the background. It really exhibited where I was on this whole topic. And so I don't see it there. So let me make this bigger. Love is love, custom background. If you can see it here, it's a beautiful wallpaper, virtual background, a rainbow. And it's not like a bright colored rainbow. It's kind of muted. It just fits my style. And then it says, love is love is love is love. And there's a chair. I felt at home with that background. And the background is a subtle message to say, just to show you what I believe. Love is love. That's it. So what that means is it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Banana, taco, man, woman, biological. There's infinite many combinations now. We've got Z's, hers. We've got people identifying as the guy with the funny mustache. Love is love. As long as you're peaceful, stay away from me. I stay away from you. We're good. Love is love is love. That was one of my favorite wallpapers. And it's upsetting to me that they've turned something that I think most Americans are like, yeah, that's fine, into now that the rainbow, I would never use that as a virtual background, because now to me, the rainbow is a symbol of hate. It is a hate symbol. They have turned it into a symbol of hate. You can turn anything into a symbol of hate. So I'm not trying to necessarily knock anybody, or especially not common people. Common people didn't turn it into a symbol of hate. You've got people who control the institutions, and we're going to look at a university here with Riley Gaines in a second. They've turned it into a symbol of hate, and you can just see it. I don't have to, there's not really an argument over it. You can see it and look at it with your own eyes. You can decide if it's hate or not. But for me, it's obvious that it is. So thanks for stopping by. Friend of the show, Casual Goats is in here. I appreciate you. Casual Goats is a longtime friend of the show. Patriots of American Republic, as we said. Man, have you got... This is going to be known. This time frame is going to be known as the age of trans in the history books. It's going to be one for the history books. It's going to be this age here way more, even more than the George Floyd Black Lives Matter, I think. This feels even stronger than that, and this isn't even an election year. The Black Lives Matter stuff popped up right on in the election year. Who knows what's going to happen now? So we're seeing a political, social movement that's got children or young adults, because those in college are young adults for the most part. They're 18 or older, unless you kind of skip through. I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime. It's not even close. It is something that is taking over to the extent that it can't be ignored. It's in common culture. There's a Spideyverse or whatever, Marvel. I don't know if anybody's seen that they released a trailer for this new Spideyverse thing. I haven't followed it, so I don't know exactly what the title is. And in the background, they have a trans flag, and it says "Protect Trans Rights." Now, I think you can have those type of references in comic books. Obviously you can, because that's happening in real life. So if you want to mimic real life, you've got to put that in there, but you would have to balance it out with both sides. If you're only putting it in there to be updated for a modern society, then you would put it in there, but then you would show that there's a bunch of people, there's women, there's others who are unhappy with it. That's not what they're doing. They're putting it in there as promotion, as propaganda to prop it up. That's what's really happening. And that's the disturbing part of it. I'm going to cover Obama. Obama weighed in on Tennessee. We can get to Riley Gaines in a second. Obama commented on Tennessee. That tells you how important this is. For Obama to weigh in, he doesn't weigh in on every issue. And I'm going to tell you why I have no problem with his statement on it. I have problem with his inconsistency. So when we talk about that, we've got other news going on too. A lot of news. I'm going to talk about Tennessee again. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about the women in this country, and I am seeing a little bit of pushback. Not a lot, but I'm seeing a little bit. Here, let's start with a respectful poem, I would say, before we get into Riley Gaines. I want to stay as balanced as possible as well, and I do agree with this, but this is for women to agree with or not. Obviously, I'm not a woman. Conservative Mama on Twitter tweets, "I am an adult female. I am a woman. I am not what I wear. I am not the makeup on my face. I am a woman. I am not the heels on my feet. I'm not the pitch of my voice. I am a woman. I am not a caricature. I cannot be duplicated or replicated. I am a woman. I am me. There is no other me. I am a woman. I am fearfully and wonderfully made by the Creator. I am not a man. I am a woman. I menstruate when eggs in the body have not been fertilized. I get cramps and feel bloated. I am a woman. I have carried life inside my womb. I have endured the pain of childbirth. I am a woman. I have 3 children. I am their mother. I am a woman. I have breasts mammary glands that have nursed my children until they were able to eat solid foods. I am a woman. I've been told no because I'm a woman. I've been seen as less than because I'm a woman. I am a woman. I've been objectified because I am a woman. I've been accepted because I am a woman. I am a woman. I am not a victim. I am victorious. I am a woman. I can do what men cannot do. Men can do what I cannot do. I am a woman. The women that came before me were property. The woman that came before me could not vote. The woman that came before me did not have a chance at what I can so easily grasp with my fingertips. We have come too far to be erased. I am a woman. And this does get into identity a little bit, and I'd like to stay away from that. But when it comes to men and women, this identity, there's a distinction there that is biological, that's been designated by the Creator, that I think you can acknowledge the difference. So if you're out there, you're a woman and you're a feminist, I might not agree with you on everything. That doesn't matter. I don't agree with Nick Fuentes on everything, and I'm a big supporter. You need to pull the Overton window away from this madness. Matt Walsh cannot do that. I cannot do that. That is the evil genius behind identity, social, political, politics, stances, and movements. Black Lives Matter. White people are not going to be able to lead the movement against Black Lives Matter. It's just not going to happen. If you want to have authentic discussions about religion, like Jewish people or Muslim people, if you're non-Jewish, you're non-Muslim, you can't really lead that discussion. You're a part of it, but you can't really lead it. Christianity as well. And when it comes to the trans issue, this has to be led. It has to be led respectfully, and it has to be led by women. And that's what takes us to Riley. If you have not seen the videos of Riley Gaines, she was in San Francisco, and here is how some of it sounded.
Trans rights are human rights! Trans rights are human rights! Trans rights are human rights! Close the door. Trans rights are human rights! Trans rights.
Does this sound like rational people to you?
Trans rights are human rights! Trans rights are human rights! Yeah, you fucking transphobic bitch! I fucking see it! Trans rights
Just me. I'm good. I'm good.
Trans rights are human rights!
I'm coming. I'm good. Trust me, I'm good. Go ahead.
Trans rights are human rights! You crying! You fucking crying, bitch! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Trans rights are human rights! Bye, bitch! Bye, bitch! You dress like a communist. Fuck you! Fuck you! Trans women are women! Trans women are women! Trans women are women!
stuff to disperse.
You can see the power behind that. What movement could the cabal create to give that type of energy to young people? They all can't be paid. This all can't be fake. There's a lot of pain there in those youth, whether it's coming from social media or whatever else. I don't know, but those are not the actions of healthy young people. They aren't being rebels. They're not protesting against any type of establishment power. They're going after a woman, a biological woman swimmer. Why are they going after this woman swimmer? Because she speaks out against, she's speaking out against biological men. She's a swimmer speaking out against biological men invading the spaces of biological women. That's it. That's all she talks about. She said she was in the locker room with Leah Thomas, who, if you don't know, is a 6'4" biological man who said he's a woman. I don't know what treatment or anything that he's gone through to do that, and started obviously performing well in collegiate swimming. So she's like, I don't like, I'm paraphrasing, I'm saying, he's a 6'4" biological man. What are we doing here? And that's the reaction? You can't expect me to take you seriously. And then we look at it and say, why are you acting so crazy for, even if you disagree with Riley Gaines, why are you so unhinged? Why are you frothing at the mouth over, this is literally what she's saying is, I was in the locker room with a person who says they identify as a woman. I just read the poem, I Am Woman. This is not a woman. This is a man, biologically. And I saw his hard banana in a woman's locker room. That's what she's saying. Like, she's saying, let's separate locker rooms. And that's the response. That takes years. It takes I would say generations, plural, to take us to a place this dark. We are in the age of the rise of trans, and it's not in a healthy way. This was truly disturbing to me after the events in Tennessee, and I am not looking to make, let me make sure I'm clear, I'm not looking to make a broad statement about trans people. I'm looking at this is being promoted as a positive thing. These young people in San Francisco, I forgot the name of the San Francisco school. This San Francisco school are being heralded as heroes for chasing out Riley Gaines. That's what I'm going after. Most of them aren't even trans. They're just blue hair, green hairs, whatever. They're transformer activists. And disturbing as it is, this is being conflated. So I'm looking at Tennessee now. And in Tennessee, I'm like, are they protesting 2A or are they protesting the trans issue? It's being conflated. They don't even know what they're protesting. This was tweeted by Gavin Newsome. Gavin Newsome, the guy who I think has the goal of running for president at some point. I think he would push Kamala Harris out of the way if he wanted to, figuratively, if he could. Maybe choose Michelle Obama as the VP, who knows? Tweeted by Gavin Newsome, governor of California. Tennessee, you ban books, you ban drag. Kids are still in body bags. They're conflating. It's almost like there's no walk of society. What do these two things have to do with each other? And what does this chant mean in the state capitol? And Gavin Newsome is tweeting it like it's something to be celebrated. This is after 6 people got unlived, 3 children. They said, if you can't hear, that's what they're saying is you ban books, you ban drag, kids are still in body bags. So they're almost like looking over, figuratively stepping over the dead bodies of the tragic 6 that were unlived in Tennessee. You ban drag. What does that have to do with anything? Are you justifying the unliving? Choose your word. I honestly don't know what that means. I want to assume the best in people. I would say choose your words carefully, because to me it came across as the kids are in body bags. This is Tennessee where they're talking about this. It came across as the kids are in body bags because drag was being banned. Well, that's not even accurate. Who's banning drag? I said, how long is it before New York replaces the busts, the statues of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor with a statue of the Miss Hale, Audrey Hale, who did the tragedy in Tennessee? Remember, we played the video that had them showing 7 victims. Now, I don't disagree with, I think Hale was a victim for sure, but not a victim that I'm going to be lumping in. I have to take that victim as a separate category than the 6 that person unlived. All these people are victims that do all these mass incidents. Never before have I heard the one who did the mass incident lumped in with everybody else. Why? Because they're a transformer? Carlos, I believe this is Carlos using the account. What's up? Patriots of the American Republic. Click on the link, subscribe. Great friend of the show. Trans women are women, not according to their chromosomes. You can't hide biology. GB, what's good? Thanks for stopping by. Casual Goats, man. Always the one to make you laugh. I do have some funny stuff in here. I have some Babylon Bee headlines, so it's not going to be all, serious. Casual Goat says, you will accept the feminine penis. No lies. That's literally what they're saying. There's no lies. He's not even really exaggerating. Hey, Casual, you're going to have to try a little bit harder if you want to go over the top. I think he hit right on home where he was trying to go. GB said, victim of mental illness. Oh, what's going on? Is it not showing? Victim of mental illness and Marxist lunacy. It's a brilliant strategy. It creates a dichotomy with either you support that, what they're doing there in Tennessee, saying you ban books, you ban drag, kids are still in body bags. Either you support that or you don't. And that's what that's why I say call it neo-Marxism. Has nothing to do with class and all that like classic. It's just basically taking any topic where you can divide it into a yes or no. This isn't like DC and Marvel where I'm like, yeah, I like DC more than Marvel, but I like them both. You can't say these are mutually exclusive takes. Now, a lot of people don't do anything about it because they won't vote against Democrats, women in particular. But even you can't be on both sides of the issue is the point. That's the whole point of it. And it creates a societal crack and then everything crumbles. And this is what Marxism is done. This version of Marxism is very smart because what classic Marxism should do, and I'm not an expert, just dabbled in it, read Communist Manifesto, just basic stuff. But what it's designed to do is crack the foundation of your society to topple those in charge. That's what classic Marxism does. But notice, neo-Marxism doesn't challenge anyone. They're not challenging Biden. They're not challenging, and Biden isn't even the highest of the order. They're not challenging the global one world government movement. They are behind this whole thing. The CCP is behind them. I think the CCP is at the top of the totem pole. I've been thinking through this a lot over the last couple years, wondering where is the relationship between the CCP and the one world government. Some people have alleged different other people are ahead of the one world government. For me, I can look at who do you not criticize helps me find who's really in charge. Are you going to make fun of your boss in a mean way? No, you don't. The one world government, there's been some beef with Soros and the CCP, but as a whole, the one world government, I've not seen them at all say one bad word, do anything negative about the CCP. That is important to note because the CCP is making moves while they put this poison here in our country. I liken it to, you know, there's a couple that's having maybe relationship issues, and you know that there's something maybe that happened years ago that both people did, and if you say, hey, remember when John did that? Oh, Jill, remember when? Or you could tell John, remember when Jill did that? You could tell Jill, remember when John did that years ago? And then you get them to start fighting, and then you kind of slip away. You kind of fade into the background like the Homer meme, and you just watch them go at it. You don't even have to do much. You can maybe put a little gas to keep the fire stoking up. They did it with race, and it's right now being most successful with this rise of trans. Hey, politically black people, how you feeling right now? You got used and abused by the Democratic Party, and they're going to put you to the side right now, but if they need to bring you back up, they will. You've been used and abused, and now we're seeing the rise of the transformers and illegal immigrants taking precedence over your politically black ass. How you feeling right now? And that's an honest question. I'm not telling you what to do. I don't want to convert you to nothing. I just want you to sit down on the couch and tell me how you feeling right now. I can tell you how you look. You look like a damn fool. The same ones that kind of come up in my mentions with the little raccoon faces. If you've come up in my mentions with the raccoon faces, how you feeling right now? You should be concerned because you're getting thrown away and you're politically homeless. You ain't got nowhere to go. Good luck with that. I wish if only there were signs. Let me go to the chat. They're literally justifying the was-were actions. So GB took that interpretation of Tennessee, saying you ban books, you ban guns, kids are still in body bags. He took that, just like I did, as a cry for, what are you really saying? Are you really going there to justify what happened or being that far gone or insensitive? That's how you're looking at it? Yeah, I think that is how they look at it. This is when they say you ban drag, what are they talking about? There is not one person that I have heard that says that drag in general should be banned. Who have you heard make that case or say anything to that effect? Haven't heard anyone. Not a one. So where are they getting it from? Another leftist straw man. Done to justify what they know is unjustifiable. And they're worried about it hurting their identity politics. So that's why they go with the chant and the straw man argument. They know for sure that hurts their politics. They know that hurts the case. If you want an example of what people aren't happy about, this is an example of it right here. You'll see in a second a biological male. I don't know what they're dressed as, but they're talking about drag and they're reading a book to children. This is about the children. When you see those 20-year-olds, those under 30-year-olds, and in schools, this is what it's really about.
Shoulders on the drag queen go shimmy, shimmy, shimmy.
Oh yeah.
Anybody know what a shimmy is? Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy.
I think I have that.
Shimmy, shimmy.
The volume is always too low on these videos, and I can't pump it up. You might hear other streamers have problems with this. I don't know if I'll have to change my setup or something. It is annoying, but let me tell you what he said. They're reading a book about drag queens to young kids. I don't know. They look younger than 8, 6. They're probably as old as my son. And the person reading it is a man. I guess they identify as drag. That's what it seems like. And they're saying the drag queen's shoulders shake.
Shoulders on the drag queen go shimmy shimmy.
The shoulders on the drag queen go shimmy, shimmy, reading to children.
Shimmy. Anybody know what a shimmy is?
And then I don't know if it's a boy or girl, stands up and imitates. Children are sponges. If you read books about dinosaurs, they'll know about dinosaurs. If you read about Pokemon, they'll know everything about Pokemon. It doesn't matter what it is. If you give them stuff about drag and trans, they will feed right into it.
Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. The shoulders on the drag queen go shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Shoulders on the.
People see that, they don't like it. So what do you do about something like that? You can't legislate everything. So don't come to me with legislation. This cannot be legislated. It is the difference between Sharia law and the Constitution. They can't coexist. So if you took up countries that have Sharia law, dump them in the United States, there is no way other than assimilation to fix it. We have done the opposite. What's the opposite of assimilation? I don't know, desimilation? I don't have the vocabulary for that. But the opposite of assimilation is happening to our society. Do not come to me with laws. You cannot legislate that. You can't make a law to say that's illegal. You just can't. Either we share enough to like live together or we don't. That's the fundamental problem. GB says, I'd say the same if they were trying to include kids at strip clubs. Absolutely. Somebody tweeted there was a parent that looked like they had their kid's birthday party at Hooters. And somebody tweeted, well, why don't whoever say anything about this? I was like, your terms are acceptable. Who said that was okay? That didn't come out of my mouth. They're trying to straw man an inconsistency where there is none. No 6-year-old should have their birthday party at Hooters. Now, this person is not dressed really inappropriately. So that's not the issue. The issue is, would you want your kid involved with promoting critical gender theory, in my opinion, through drag, using drag as a window? How do they define what drag is to a child? Drag is sexual in nature. If it weren't sexual in nature, you would just say it's a man dressed as a woman, or you would just identify them as a woman, or you would just say a cross-dresser. Drag is something separate than just a man, and all of it, I don't want my kid around it. That's just my personal preference. I can have that discrimination. I am pro-discrimination if you didn't see the live yesterday. I am pro-discrimination. It is a natural instinct, and I'm discriminating. I don't want my kid around you. It's just not for me. I'd rather him learn how to code. He's right now doing comic books, so I bought him a blank book with the little squares for a comic book, and I'm like, go ahead, make your comic. Draw your picture, think of your plot. I'm fostering those type of things. If you want your kids to do that, here's my concern. I'm a libertarian, live your life, but my concern is if I get hemmed up by the law, I don't look at you as a peer. So I can't think of it from a jury standpoint. Would you want one of these parents who support this, or the person themselves reading the book, would you want them on a jury? It doesn't matter what you're hemmed up for. Would you want them on your jury? Do you think you would, if they knew your beliefs? No. And it's unfair because the people who speak against this are more fair. They're more logical. So if they were on a jury with the non-left, they would get a much more fair shake than the vice versa. That's the problem I have. I don't want to make a law against this. You can't make a law against everything. I don't want to make any laws against this. I don't want to put anybody in jail for this. I just want to acknowledge, let's have Tennessee boot out the blue cities, and you all go to New York, go somewhere else, and make the whole state red. And that will be a battle between populist red, MAGA red, and establishment red. But I would like that battle more than this versus non-left. So I don't want you on the jury. I don't want you on a jury with me. I don't want to live in an area with you because I think your mind is rotten. I don't think you're reasonable. I don't think you would give me a fair shake, even though I would give you a fair shake. That's the problem. And that's not an easy problem to solve. There is no, you're not God. You can't have Congress solve this. Stop looking to government. Government can't solve this. Decentralization can. Now you see why I went down the libertarian path, meaning getting the government out the way and let the local government say, push this, like we don't want this here, you go over there, and then we'll try to live happily ever after. Richard, who's a friend of the show, has different points of views, but thank you for being respectful and coming through. Richard on the chat says, drag shows are not new. The military had them in World War II. Fox decided to focus on them, so their followers focused on it. If you look at that dude reading and get turned on, that's a you problem. Okay, what's your point? I just told you what my concern is. I don't disagree with anything you said, Richard. So would you agree that we shouldn't be sharing a society together? Because if he had a MAGA hat on, those parents would take their kids and grab them by their necks and say, let's get out of here quickly. He's the devil. So, Richard, I'm not arguing with you, Richard. Why are we sharing a state together? Why don't we just say, you're a different area and you be around people who support that? And we both good. Like, there's no need for us to hate each other. No reason to have beef with each other. Don't have me go to work and try to force me to say that this is okay, that I'm okay with this. Don't try to have my kid go to school and get promoted that. Why would you want to force that on me, Richard? And I don't want Christian beliefs forced on you. Now, if I'm forced to choose, you know for sure I'm choosing a Christian. If I had to choose between that and a Christian totalitarian state, like it was dichotomy, like there's no in between, obviously you know what I'm choosing. And that's what young Nick Fuentes is trying to take the country. Yeah, it's a straw man, Nathaniel. I don't know who's turned on, but I still agree with his statement. If you're turned on by that it's not a problem. Actually, I don't agree with that. If you're turned on by that, that's a you problem. That's not a problem. If you're turned on by that, great. You know all kinds of wild kinks people have. People out here are turned on by toes. They don't even know if the toe is a man or a woman. I don't care. Whatever floats your boat. But Nathaniel, you're right. You're like, who said they were turned on? Like, who are you talking about? Just a straw man. They just be taking straws just out of nowhere. Like, bro, nobody said that. And if you're turned on by it, I never said you had a problem. Go do you. If they're all adults, so GB says, if they're all adults, I have no issue. I'm going to even go further, like, what am I going to police? Like, either parents have control over the kids or not. There's nothing overtly sexual going on here. So I don't even have a problem with it from that standpoint. I mean, it's no different than if I take my kid to art school and they're drawing medieval time stuff. I used to do that in Cleveland at the Cleveland Art Museum. They had great art classes. You would go in the middle and you would draw like the knights and all that kind of stuff. Maybe some people aren't into that. And then they're into the drag show stuff. I mean, what am I going to say? Yeah, and then that's the other problem, the inconsistency. Carlos, Patriots of the American Republic, says Kirk Cameron was banned from going to the library and reading to children. Why? Because it was Christianity. So then I have another problem. The other problem is you can promote your religion or your ideology with no problems. And if you criticize it, of course, you're going to get fired from your job or whatever else. So somebody says, I want to go to the library and promote my ideology. They can't do it. We can't share a society like that. This brings us to the Obama quote. Well, let me let me, this brings us to the Obama quote. Let me get to this Obama quote here. This is where I challenge Obama. I'm going to, because I just clipped some stuff up here because I knew it would come up on the show. Obama had a quote that I agree with, and this is a perfect transition between what Carlos is saying, Tennessee, and what I'm saying. Barack Obama tweeted, which is a big deal when Barack Obama tweets. He has 130-something million. I don't know how many are real, but he's got a lot of followers. What happened? Elon Musk just passed him in follower count. He was previously the number one, I think. What happened in Tennessee is the latest example of a broader erosion of civility and democratic norms. What he's talking about is what happened in Tennessee with the Tennessee 3. The state representatives, 2 got expelled. Expulsion. Kind of like school. You act like a badass kid, you're going to get expelled. Bye, Fee. I'm not crying a tear over you. I don't know why they didn't expel the one woman who made the optics look bad because they expelled the 2 black males and then didn't do the white woman. Tennessee GOP, I don't know what's up with that. I'm not saying that it's racist, but then you allowed the white woman who didn't get expelled, who's your political enemy, to say it was imply that it was racist. I don't think she did as much to disrupt the proceedings as the other 2, but this is politics. The optics didn't look right, but I digress. I agree with, well, let's say, okay, I'll agree with you, Obama, and the broader erosion of civility and democratic norms. I do agree with that. Why? Who brought that on, Obama? You played a large part in that. But more recently, you've seen what's happening with Trump and all these other issues, J6. I'm not going to go back. There's a list that we talk about damn near every live. So, Obama, I need you to talk about both sides. Otherwise, I don't care about what you have to say. Listen to the cojones on this dude. Barack Obama has more cojones, even though Michelle Obama is stronger than him. I think Michelle Obama could bench press Barack Obama. I don't think that could happen in the reverse. In the privacy of their home, Michelle Obama's probably like, stop moving, bro. She's probably getting her workout in. Bench pressing Barack Obama. She probably doing her bicep curls with Barack Obama. Calm down, bro. You moving too much. You hard to balance. She's strong. I mean, figuratively and literally. She built like Mike Tyson. But Barack Obama, look at this. He has bigger cojones than she does. He says silencing those who disagree with us is a sign of weakness, not strength that won't lead to progress. How often does the left do that to anybody that disagrees with them, silencing them? We just saw them. So Barack Obama has the balls, and GB trying to correct me with Michael. Who's Michael, GB? I'm talking about Michelle Obama. Who's Michael? I don't know who Michael is. I'm talking about Michelle. You mean Michelle, right? I'm not talking about, you talking about Mike Tyson? I'm talking about Michelle Obama. So Barack Obama has the audacity to say that when it comes up to Tennessee and the young Dem representatives who got their ass booted up out of there. But there's nothing, no energy here. You see why society's falling? Yeah, we have no discourse. I don't care anymore, Barack. I'm just going to play the audio. I'm not going to even play the video. Do you have any energy for this? Brock, they're chasing a speaker out of the school because she has words. And you're the one with the comment that says, silencing those who disagree with us is a sign of weakness. Is this a sign of weakness, Mr. President? Do you have any comments? Is anybody going to ask him about it? You made this statement. Does it apply in this situation, or does it only apply when it's politically convenient, sir? Permission to speak freely, sir. You're a bitch. That's where our civility is. I don't have any time for you anymore. I voted for you twice, and this is how get repaid with this nonsense, this one-sided nonsense, this You talk about the breakdown of society while you put gasoline on the breakdown of society. Permission to speak freely, sir. Does Michael bend you over? Have you participated with Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan in the foursomes? Permission to speak freely, sir. You want to know, Mr. Obama, President Obama, permission to speak freely. You're a ban. And I'm going to say I regret voting for you. No, but now I know that voting for you was a mistake. I don't regret anything, but now I know where you stand. Oh, speaking of Obama, did y'all hear about what happened with Obama? Sir, we're hearing news that you were kind of wrapped up in a controversy with Praz from Fugees. What the hell? Is this real? Praz Michelle from the Fugees got wrapped up in a scandal, and Obama is adjacent. So we got a lot. If you want to be in the news, sir, then let's put you in the news. Fugees rapper Praz Michelle, he was doing some work. Fuji rapper Praz, this is not a dream. This is the timeline that we're living. Praz Michelle, I believe you pronounce his last name. I just know him as Praz. How his charges involve Leonardo DiCaprio, Barack Obama, Kim Kardashian, and more. My goodness.
Fugees rapper Praz Michel trial. How his charges involve Leonardo DiCaprio, Barack Obama, Kim Kardashian, and more. By Connor Murray. Top line. Michelle is on trial in a Washington federal court for allegedly conspiring to funnel money from a Malaysian government fund to finance Barack Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. And on Monday, actor Leonardo DiCaprio became the first of potentially several big-name celebrities to testify. Key facts. Fugees rapper Praz Michel is accused of conspiring with Loh Taek Jo, a Malaysian businessman who allegedly stole billions from State Fund 1MDB, One Malaysia Development Berhad, and faces charges of money laundering, campaign finance violations, acting as an unregistered agent for foreign nationals, witness tampering and lying to banks. Prosecutors accuse Michel, who has pleaded not guilty, of receiving more than $100 million from Loh and participating in two illegal schemes. One to enlist attendees for a fundraising dinner for Obama, then reimburse them using $40,000 of the foreign money while threatening them not to tell authorities, and another to lobby Trump administration officials to drop an investigation into Loh. Loh, who has denied wrongdoing, is also facing charges but is not on trial because he is believed to be at large in China. Michel's defense lawyers told reporters he was a passionate Obama supporter and didn't intend to violate any laws.
Oh, okay.
DiCaprio, who is not accused of wrongdoing, testified in court on Monday about his relationship with Loh, who used foreign money to finance director Martin Scorsese's 2013 film, The Wolf of Wall Street, which starred DiCaprio. DiCaprio told the court his relationship with Loh was purely social at first. The two had met at a number of parties, including at Loh's birthday party in Las Vegas around 2010, and the two discussed the 2012 presidential election, where Loh told DiCaprio of his intention to donate upward of $20 million to the Democratic Party. Loh also made donations to DiCaprio's environmental foundation through donations and a purchase of a paint.
So you see what's happening here? China getting involved way back then with, they want to give, there's nothing that happens in China without the CCP knowing. So this dude, this billionaire, Chinese billionaire, said, I want to funnel some money to Obama. It's weird because you think it would have to be a quid pro quo. Who thought Obama was going to lose in 2012? I think this was 2012. Or 08, doesn't matter. Who thought Obama was going to, well, 08 was a little different because he didn't know if a half black, half white person was going to win. 2012, it was like a wrap. So it looks like a quid pro quo to funnel the money in. Praz allegedly took $70 to $100 million, Praz was the whack dude from the Fugees, but I like them all. But with respect to the great Lauryn Hill, the great Wyclef, he was the whack one. But he was the one that got them together. He was the glue of the group. He was awfully busy, wasn't he? Those Haitians assimilated real quick, didn't they? They came over from the boat and from Haiti on the boat and was like, oh, part of the American dream is racketeering. Obama, can we ask you about that? If you're going to chime in on Tennessee, can we have a word with you? Permission to speak freely, sir. Donald Trump got hemmed up on charges. Do we need a Republican DA to do the same to you? I might. Here's what I want to say to you, Obama. Zip it. You don't have the credibility. I don't want to hear anything from you. That's not the end of the story. The story gets more bizarre. Via newsbacks, lending more credibility to this story. If you haven't heard this, wait till you hear this. Miles Guo arrest intended to stop him from testifying in Praz Michel trial. And I should have known Michel, Haitian, French. That's Miles Guo right there. That's the dissident. On March 15th, peep this. On March 15th, Miles Guo was arrested by the DOJ, Joe Biden's DOJ right now, just before he was scheduled to testify in the trial of Praz. Is the Chinese Communist Party making every effort to prevent the testimony? How would they be doing that? Is the DOJ doing the bidding of the CCP? Because they'll know it'll pull back the curtain and further expose the CCP's infiltration of the U.S. government? For background, Michel was indicted and charged with what we were talking about, this lobbying campaign. I think racketeering would be the right term. So the DOJ says he was paid over $100 million for this. So somehow Miles Guo was going to testify. And I think it's the day, let me read this here again. I think it's the day before he was supposed to testify. He got hemmed up. It doesn't feel fishy, doesn't feel funny to you. Continuing on with this article, we talked about this in the last story, but he got up with this dude, the CCP person, Lowe, who was tied in my opinion, to the CCP government. And now let's bring in Guo. To the extent of the effort and some of the money goes to prove that Miles Guo is the public enemy number one of the CCP. As Praz fights the case, the legal team has been adamant about Guo testifying in the case. In a legal filing dated March 23rd, his attorneys argue that Guo testifying is necessary for Michel to provide a successful defense. It's ironic because Guo's testimony is far more likely to implode Michel's case and further expose the CCP's web infiltrating U.S. government. As Guo remains detained without bail, while Michel was let out without bail, the government hasn't allowed him to be served with papers, the subpoena in the Michel case. As the Michel lawyers note in their filing, service has been attempted at the detention because you have to get served with the papers, but their process servicers was informed that absolutely no legal papers are allowed to be served in premises for this case. So the appearance is it looks like the DOJ scooped him up so he couldn't get served. If there's any question as to why Guo still hasn't been offered a bail hearing, that it would prevent him from testifying in the case, and if there's some question as to what they're so afraid of, Guo would reveal the identities of even more DOJ personnel collaborating with the CCP. There's people out here, and the more that I look into this stuff, the more it really pisses me off. It really pisses me off. There's people out here that, to me, do good work, but they are absolute phonies, in a way. And I'm almost willing and ready to go there with Caitlin Johnstone. You guys probably, I won't let that go. I've been, I think, more than fair with Caitlin Johnstone, and I believe that hasn't been afforded to me in return. Let me show you an example of an interaction here. So this is me interacting, and I'm just using Caitlin. I don't know Caitlin personally. We've just interacted on Twitter a little bit. I'm just using her. It's her and her husband, to my knowledge. So I don't know who runs the Twitter account as an example. I'm trying to agree, and I'm going to bring it back to the CCP in a second. I'm trying to agree with her because I think her work is overall very good. She's terrible on China, though. But Caitlin Johnstone is talking about this. You might have heard the NPR news. Twitter labeled NPR as state-affiliated media. Why did Twitter do that? Because Elon Musk could. That's why. There doesn't have to be any other reason, as you guys taught us when you had the cabal in charge, which I don't know if Elon is a part of it or not, but it's a different person in charge. When Yoel Roth was in charge, y'all said it was private company. We can do whatever the hell we want. There's no First Amendment. So Elon Musk labels NPR. I'm not getting into the debate about how much money it's funded. We know it's funded by the federal government. They say less than 2%, 1%. Some of it's state money, so it could go up to 5% if you include local funding. I don't care what the percentage is. I don't care if it's zero. You told me it's a private company. I don't believe that, but you told me that. NPR, you told me that. NPR favorite people, you told me that. And Elon Musk owns it now, and he wants to put a tag on you called state-affiliated media. It's his prerogative. Just like he banned Alex Jones, his prerogative, even though it's BS. He banned Ye. It's his prerogative. So they are inconsistent again, bitching about him labeling them as state-affiliated media, but they didn't say, well, we understand it's his prerogative, but we disagree. No, they just say, we disagree, Twitter's right-wing, all that. They don't say, but they don't have that same energy when they were in charge. By bringing it back to Caitlin Johnstone, she says, everyone's suddenly acknowledging that the state-affiliated media, this is a great point. So I wanted to make, part of me replying to this was to make it, because Caitlin Johnstone puts out a lot. So just use her as the face of the populist left. The populist left does a lot of stuff where I agree with. The stuff that we blow up on and we go heated back and forth on, a lot of times are the 5%, 10%, 25% of things we disagree on. I don't want our interactions to be, oh, we go back and forth on that 10% or whatever it is, and I don't acknowledge the 90, 80, 20, 75% that we agree on. So she's based here because what the AP is doing, and I think this was Elon's point, the point of him labeling them state-affiliated media, in my opinion, wasn't because they're 1% funded. It's because we know they never disagree with the global cabal. Never, not once, not on any serious issue do they ever disagree with the global Democratic Party cabal, CCP. So he labeled them state-affiliated media, knowing they would get upset, and that would have them admitting that the state-affiliated media label undermines public confidence. Caitlin Johnstone, bullseye, 100% on. Elon Musk forced them. It's a chess move. He moved his chess piece and forced them to move their chess piece in a way that exposed them to people who are paying attention. Of course, normies don't watch this, so to those paying attention, Caitlin Johnstone is 100% right. NPR, Associated Press, all the media is admitting that label of state-affiliated media undermines public confidence. So they put it on Chinese accounts, they put it on Russia accounts, all that stuff. We had some tension, I guess, but I'm a huge fan. Fiorella went over from Convo Couch, went over to Russia, and now she has the state-affiliated media tag on her account. BS. They're trying to undermine confidence in her. This is all propaganda. You can put it on my account. I mean, you can put it on anybody's account. Conclusion that Twitter has been functioning as a propaganda arm for the U.S. government. Caitlin Johnstone, one of those 75% of the topics I agree with 100%. She says, if Twitter had been applying a label to the media outlets of the U.S. enemies, which you acknowledge will undermine public confidence, then you must concede that Twitter has been manipulating the platform to advance the information interests of the U.S. government. It's dead on again, and here she has the Russia Today, Russia State Affiliated, CGTN, Russian, and I obviously don't agree with them ideology, as far as their ideology, but if you're going to put the label on them, then why wouldn't you put it on the U.S.? You should put it on CNN too. Even though, to my knowledge, they don't have any direct funds. BBC definitely should have it. But that's not the point. The point is I can put the label on for whatever reason I want, and it's true. When do you go against the narrative? You don't. Just my opinion, and if I own Twitter, I'll put it on you. Why? Because I wanted to. This is worth noting, especially in the light of the Twitter files. So let me go back to where I replied to her. Hopefully it just shows up at the end here, so I don't have to look for it. Oh, yeah, look, Fiorella. So a big fan. I was talking about Fiorella. She's labeled Russian state-affiliated media now. She moved to Russia because why? In my opinion, I'm not speaking for her, but our country doesn't promote honest, independent journalism. I've always been a big fan for years of Pasta, Fiorella, and look at that. That hurt me to see somebody who should be an American journalist and probably could have been if she, if we had an honest journalist, set up here in this country, she would be a star. Everybody would know her name. But she had to go to Russia, and then she gets the tag on her account. But the CNNs don't. The Jim Acostas don't get that on their account. So I agreed with, look at that, how passionately agree with her. Let me go to our interaction here. Now, really kind of my point of bringing this up with Caitlin Johnstone is here's my interaction with her. And, whoops, let me bring it up here. Because I don't want our interactions to always be negative. So let me find my first. And then I replied to her, maybe I could have made it a stronger, I agree. But this was a point of agreement. I said, that's my biggest takeaway, agreeing with everything I just show you of her saying. I said, that's my biggest takeaway. And I think that's what Elon wanted to do. So that's just me saying I agree, period. No qualifications, nothing. So then she comes back because one of the big things we disagree on is she doesn't understand MAGA. The populist right and MAGA should not come out of her mouth because she has not done the work. Same with Michael Tracy. Well, he's getting better now. He's funny. After we had some interaction, he's kind of getting better with MAGA. She's not getting better. So we have that tension there. So I'm just saying we agree. We're not enemies. And she blocks people. I appreciate she hasn't blocked me. I'm not going to be disrespectful. But she says, yes, well, you're fond of believing things that have no evidence whatsoever, but would make Republicans look cool if they were true. So we know what we're talking. Other people might not know, but we've gone back and forth on MAGA. She knows, obviously, I'm a MAGA supporter, and she knows how I feel about the CCP. So there's just so much wrong with that, because what she's saying is, I am fond of believing the CCP is corrupting the United States, and she says I have no evidence for it. And whatever. She said I have no evidence whatsoever. Are you serious? And then it would make Republicans look cool, where I'm not a Republican. I don't like Republicans. It's more MAGA, but whatever. And I'm like, I can't even agree with you. Like, what? Like, I didn't come for beef. I didn't even, if I want to, not beef, but if I disagree with you, Caitlin, I'll let you know. I'll quote tweet you. I said we disagree on some things, but we agree on a lot also. I bet we agree on far more than we don't. You're spot on here. I'm trying. She said I have as much in common with partisan hack Republicans, referring to me, as I have with partisan hack Democrats. And at that point, I'm like, okay. I'm like, whatever. I can't. What do you want me to do? I'm still going to try to bridge the gaps. How do I bridge the gaps? She says I have no evidence of CCP corruption. Are you serious? I just showed you, it's not proof, but I showed you evidence with the DOJ hemming up Miles Guo right before he was going to testify with potentially negative testimony against the CCP, hemmed up without bail, unconstitutionally. We're facing Mao-like struggle sessions in the United States. Where do you think that philosophy comes from? We're facing communist tactics. Everything's going on right now benefits the CCP. Is that just an accident? the exact same app that they allow in the United States, they don't allow critical gender theory on their version of the app. They monitor, I'm not saying we should do this, but on their side, they monitor the time for children on their app. They don't allow a lot of this garbage on their app. I'm not saying we should do that. What I'm saying is that's evidence of some type of conscious decision on their part. Foreign dignitary brings up to Tony Blinken in Alaska, Black Lives Matter. They don't believe in Black Lives Matter. They're racist as hell. The CCP and the government openly, blatantly, what I would call legitimate racism, which is fine. I just won't visit. Their TV outlet, I've played this clip before, their TV outlet promotes critical theory in America. I believe it was CGTV. They don't do that over there. Just a coincidence? This is all evidence. I told you about the Obama CCP billionaire funneling money through PROS from the Fugees, breaking him off 70 to 100 million allegedly to in favor of Obama. Evidence. This is just all off the top of the head, Caitlin. So don't say I don't have evidence. I haven't even, the Chinese spy balloon, the awful withdrawal of Afghanistan, leaving all that stuff, the rare earth minerals and the weapons behind for the CCP to come in and say, Taliban, y'all some goofy ass niggas, but they don't. See, the good thing, the thing I admire about the CCP is that they're racist as hell. They look at the Taliban as just some dumbass dust people with sandals on, but they don't discriminate. They still play chess. They don't care about they look down at you, but they won't necessarily come out and tell you, but they'll still do business with you because money is money. They're really sophisticated, really smart. And I haven't even covered on this channel the Brandon allegations. Let's bring it over to that, the CCP stuff. This should be the biggest story in the news right now. Video, I think it's from somebody from Epic Times. Let me bring this up just to summarize the concerns and just give you more evidence. That's just stuff off the top of my head, Caitlin. I mean, people in the chat, y'all could probably think of 100 more other pieces of evidence of the CCP being involved or benefiting from the fall of America. And you want me to think that's not proof. So if you don't agree with it, fine. But don't dare say I don't have evidence, and don't dare try to make me sound like some kind of right-wing lunatic for pointing out, look at all these chess moves. It looks like they're going for checkmate and try to make me sound like some type of damn fool. Let me break down these Biden. This is salacious stuff right here.
The name that people were calling Biden, Beijing Biden.
Biden.
The name that people were calling Biden, Beijing Biden, is becoming basically, it's being proven true. Red State had this story. They say even CNN admits things are not looking good for Biden, and then Comer drops even more damning information. They say, as we reported, the House Oversight Committee says it now has evidence showing that the Biden family received more than $1 million in relation to a payout from a Chinese company with ties to the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. And RNC Research noted a Biden associate gets $3 million from a Chinese-based company and then proceeds to wire it out to a bunch of people named Biden, says CNN's Aaron Burnett. That doesn't look good. Let me show you this video.
On a certain level, just as a layperson, you hear this, and it doesn't sound good. There's a guy whose name is John Robinson Walker. He gets $3 million from a Chinese-based company and proceeds to wire it out to a bunch of people named Biden, one of whom is Hunter Biden. Another one is a company that belongs to the president's brother, James Biden, and another amount of money to Beau Biden's widow, Hallie. So, again, from a layperson, that doesn't look good.
And Town Hall said this. Comer believes nearly a dozen more business dealings occurred between the Biden family and China. This is one of the things that people are not talking about, which should be the biggest story in the country, frankly.
Yeah. So there's no evidence, huh? That looks like pure corruption to me. That family is very good at putting out a front. Because if you don't pay attention to things, you think that Joe Biden was some wholesome. I thought he was. You know, the first red flag, there was a lot of red flags. Rush Limbaugh, rest in peace, when he was alive, brought up a lot of concerns about Biden. but it didn't really absorb until I got older. Because if it had really absorbed, I wouldn't have voted for Obama. So he was the VP. I voted for Obama twice. That means I voted for Joe Biden as VP twice. I just thought he was your typical moderate. That's what and good family and all that kind of stuff. And then I know there was gaffes, but I never looked at it as that serious. Now my eyes are open to the family, the relationships. It's just, what a bizarre, weird family. And it matters. You look at it, the allegations are credible. Should he be impeached? I just don't think he's worth impeaching. So, but in theory, should he be impeached? Of course. We should have a hearing for sure. We should flesh all this stuff out. Everybody's talking about Afghanistan again. I'm going to tell you why with Biden. There's so many reasons that you could impeach him, but let's not forget what happened in Afghanistan. All of this benefiting, let's not forget, all of this benefiting the CCP. Is it a coincidence that all this stuff benefits them? I'm not going to believe that.
And thanks to the way in which we have managed our withdrawal, no one U.S. forces or any forces have been lost. Conducting our drawdown differently would have certainly come with an increased risk of safety to our personnel. To me, those risks were unacceptable.
So Mays, the homie Mays.
But the likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely. The Afghan military collapsed.
Into a C-17, we've seen Afghans falling.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago. The idea that Joe Biden said, come. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come. They're there seeking asylum. First time ever we've told people they can't come to America. That ends. The cage is closed.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm laughing because a lot of people have used that phrase in a different context.
Ends. The cage is closed.
Do not come. Do not come.
Me, 2 minutes in.
Do not come.
Just 30 seconds.
America.
30 seconds in, me.
That ends. The cage is closed.
Do not come. Do not come.
Talk of inflation. The overwhelming consensus is going to pop up a little bit and then go back down. Some folks have raised worries that this could be a sign of persistent inflation. But that's not our view.
That is a fresh 40-year high.
The second big reason for inflation is Vladimir Putin. 220,000 Americans dead. You hear nothing else I say tonight. Hear this. Look, there is no federal solution. This gets solved at a state level. Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America. If you're vaccinated, you can be around the vaccinated or unvaccinated people. We're going to protect vaccinated workers from unvaccinated coworkers. The choice is yours. You all made this possible. This is not about freedom or personal choice.
The homie Mays, I don't know if Mays is a male or female, so let me strike that. It's irrelevant. Mays, who I consider the GOAT, because, and the reason why, as a meme, that video was edited, put together by Mays. If you said it, Mays will find it. I don't know if he has like voice to text and can search or what, but he can search through years of stuff, he or she, and pull it up in a heartbeat. Just, it fits. That's, if I had the time to do videos and edit, that's the type of stuff I would do. I haven't said it enough. I've said it a lot, but I haven't said it enough. Mays is my favorite. Mays is the GOAT. C3P meme, of course, is up there as well, friend of the show. But Mays is that dude, and many others. But this is why it came up. This is what happened here. John Kirby, the master spinster, was talking about Afghanistan. So you want to talk about it, let's talk about it.
Get planes coming in and getting them loaded, have medical screening, have security vetting, have diplomatic presence on the ground to make sure that we're putting the right people on planes, but also defend that airport from external threats. That's pretty remarkable. And so for all this talk of chaos, I just didn't see it. Not from my perch. Get planes coming in and getting them loaded, have medical screening, have security vetting, have diplomatic presence on the ground to make sure that we're putting the right people on planes, but also defend that airport from external threats. That's pretty remarkable. And so for all this talk of chaos, I just didn't see it. Not from my perch.
John Kirby went on to blame Donald Trump as well. Unbecoming of the commander-in-chief. To blame Donald Trump? Man, for what? Donald Trump was not in office. You didn't have to go through with I wanted us to come out of Afghanistan, but if you thought there was issues, you didn't have to. How could any of it be Trump's fault? And everybody's bringing it up like, let's talk about it. That's why it's in the news today. The other part is, I think this is on the more funny side, not serious side. But where we're heading right now with Brandon is that our President Brandon, bringing it back to the headline topic, our President Brandon is going to be Brenda at some point if we keep going down this path. This is what the CCP views your president as. Highlights in your hair that catch your eye. That's your president right there. That's what they view him as. This is a meme. This is fake. But it represents how the world, the CCP, views the leader of the free world, Joe Brandon. If you're just listening, this is a meme of your president wearing a red dress. It looks good, right? Red looks good on him, right? Richard, where are you at? I wonder if that was projection from Richard earlier in the chat where he said, if it turns you on, there's something wrong with you. Richard, we're your friends. You don't have to hide anything from us. We're not, we do have friends of show who have all types of sexual preferences and, all that kind of stuff. So, Richard, if this turns you on, then there's nothing wrong with that. Let me know what you think. Do you think he'd look better in blue? Because that might be a MAGA red dress. Are you disappointed that the memesters put the red dress on him? Or do you want to do the AOC tax the rich? Because he talks about that too, as if he's not part of that. Maybe he would look hotter in white with tax the rich. Now, the way that the memesters did it, I think he got to do a little bit of trimming down, like a little bit of shoulder work. But for his age, he's rocking it well. What you think he should go with the white heels? The white heels or the red heels? I think the white heels, because if you do red, it's too monochrome, but that's kind of in today, right? Richard, if you have a chance, let me know what you think. No, I'm just joking, man. I don't want to start beef. I don't want to chase you off the chat because I don't want an echo chamber. I strike from the record. I love how they do that in courts, like the jury didn't hear it. Strike it from your memory. Strike it. I never said it. There were some classified documents about the Sunflower Country. I don't know if it's true or not, that got leaked online. This really happened. And the DOD, I guess, said they reached out to Twitter and said, take it down. And Elon Musk is like, the internet's forever. Paraphrasing. He was like, when does taking stuff down ever help on the internet? It's already there. They screenshot it. They saved it. What do you mean? You want me to take it down from Twitter? It's everywhere. So I'm going to strike that, Richard, like I never said it. But, of course, I did say it. So do with it what you will. I'm going to switch the topic to these ICDs. This is going back to the pandemic. I feel like we haven't talked about it enough, the pandemic, and that's on me. We're still not past the pandemic, and I still want to talk about it. New medical codes for pandemic injection status used to track people. The CDC has confirmed this. It's not speculation. What do they mean? What do they confirm? Medical codes introduced during the pandemic They were introduced to show when people were uninjected or if they were under-injected. So basically, did you have the jab or not? It's being used to track people. We know that for a fact. That's not an opinion. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, made confirmation in emails to Epoch Times, obtained through FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Acts. Those things are great, expensive, but these real journalists want that. And, the weird thing on this Restrict Act that I don't know where it's at right now, the one that might ban TikTok, I think there's a couple bills out there, but the Restrict Act would make the government immune to FOIA requests. I don't know how that works, but there is nothing that should be immune from FOIA requests. Now, live battle type stuff, when you're in war, can't be released immediately, of course, but at some point it can. I don't know if it's 20 years or whatever. Everything should be available at some point via FOIA. And this type of stuff should be available immediately. There's no national, security issue. ICD stands for, I got this from Bing. I'm using Bing search more than Google now. I've been using Google since 96. Then recently switched over to DuckDuckGo. Bing is doing this OpenAI. Bing is way, way better than Google at search right now. That's crazy. But returning back, ICD stands for International Classification of Diseases. These codes, all they're supposed to be is designations used by healthcare staff to communicate diseases, symptoms, abnormal findings. It's not, in theory, was not used for classifying if you took this treatment or not, and other elements of a patient's health. It's been abused. Here's the email. The email from the CDC says that these ICD codes are created by, wait for it, the One World Government. Who? The One World Government. Who's on first? I'm trying to get away from saying it, so I'm just going to say who, the One World Government, because it's not, you don't really say who, you say the letters. And the ones you are referring to were implemented in April of 2022. However, the CDC does not have any data on the codes. That's weird. The One World Government implemented the codes, but our government doesn't have any data on the codes. Does that seem like a smart thing? Not that I want our government to have data on the codes. I think what that means is that we shouldn't be listening to the One World Government and does not track this information. Oh, okay, wait. There was a follow-up here from the Republican House. They said they don't track this information. So if we ask you if you track this information, the answer should be a simple no, right? The codes were revealed to enable healthcare providers to track within their practices. Oh, another question. Does that mean private businesses have access to these codes? Because we could go to the CBDC. We could easily go to private businesses having social credit scores. They might call it Twitter reputation. I talked about the open algorithm that Elon Musk did. Twitter gives you a rep score. All that is a social credit score. So Twitter could say to the government, we've got a social credit score. The government could have this stuff behind the scenes, or the private healthcare providers could have it behind the scenes. You have CBDC. Do you see how the chess moves just fit pawn to E6 and it's queen to D whatever, and it's checkmate. And before you know it, your kids are like, what's the big deal about the social credit score? Their kids sound like the Chinese citizens who say this is a good thing to have the credit score. Just like we have the social security cards and numbers, and we're like, it's no big deal. We pay our taxes. The government, right around this time period, every year says, go ahead, pay your taxes or else. And then we're just like, oh, yeah, it's normal. How providers are using the codes, the CDC proposed the codes in 2021. They were implemented in 2022, but right after Brandon got in charge, they proposed the codes. There's been interest expressed in being able to track people who are not jabbed or are only partially jabbed. I'm sure there is a lot of interest because the people who are not jabbed, you have labeled as your political enemies. So you've got a lot of interest to keep a track of these, almost like a McCarthy list from back in the day. Are you anti-Brandon? Even if you claim to be a Democrat, we know you're anti-us because we told you to take a medical procedure. You didn't. So even if you're a Democrat, we know you're the enemy. Identifying people who are unjabbed or underjabbed, it's the same in their eyes, but it's good information for them. Will help. This is what they spin it as. It will help insurance providers identify. I don't know this word. I was reading this earlier. What is emoles? I don't have the vocab. You know, they say you need a 4th grade vocabulary to read the newspaper. I might have to go back to 4th grade. I have no idea what that word is. I'm not going to look it up because I don't care. Who may benefit from outreach. I still understand the basic gist, and further education about the jabs. So they're like, well, we just need it to help you out. It's always to help you out. Chip Roy, who I really like, he's not MAGA, but he's MAGA friendly, kind of like Byron Donalds, and 9 other members said they were concerned about the federal government apparently gathering data on the personal choices of Americans and said they believe the data serves no sincere purpose in treating their patients. I kind of align with Chip Roy. That's why they have to try to make people like Chip Roy sound like racist because of their beliefs. So they don't have black people or trans people going to Chip Roy and saying, you know what, Chip? You're actually right. You have a good point. CDC, do you have any comment? No, you can't do that because he's supposed to be some racist, whatever, transphobe or whatever else. The ICD system was originally intended, as we said, to just classify diagnosis. Here's the email from the House to the CDC. They have not responded. They sent this email February 20, 2023. They just had simple 5 questions. I'm going to end with this. Why did the CDC and the NCHS decide to start gathering data? YouTube, I'm not making any proclamations. I'm reading the news. I have no take here. Why would I have a take on this? I'm only an American citizen. Why would I be exercising my First Amendment rights on your platform? I don't have any. I know I don't have any. So don't give me a strike because I'm telling you I'm not exercising it. I'm just reading the news. Why did they decide to start gathering data on why Americans chose not to take the jab? Number 2, how do these government agencies intend to use the new ICD codes? Number 3, what steps are the government agencies under the executive branch taking to ensure that Americans' private health information is contained in the ICD system, is protected? Number 4, will these federal government agencies confirm that they will not, and cannot create a database of Americans based on their pandemic status? I've already done a video on that when I rebuked Dan Crenshaw. And the writing in the verbiage, this bill did not pass, but the writing in the verbiage already confirmed that there was a database with this information in it, in my interpretation. Number 5, can these government agencies confirm that private companies do not have access to lists of American jab status through this system or any other database overseen by these government executive branch agencies? Thank you for your attention to this important matter. It's been over a month and we still are looking forward to your response. Thanks for stopping by. It's a Friday Live, so we'll be jumping all over the place with topics. Raz, sign, I will not post your comment. First red flag is what I said, just in case if anybody didn't hear what I said, flag. Red, is it Singh, like VJ Singh? Red Singh, interpreted in their own way. Amazing video, Patriots of American Republic. Maze, holler at Maze. You know what? I don't reach out to a lot of people to do stuff on the show, which I should be. Just takes time. I gotta reach out to Carlos. We gotta get back up. Ray and I are doing a stream this Sunday. Oh, I've got some good streams coming up with some good people. Not just Carlos, Ray, others too upcoming. I might reach out to Maze if Maze is interested in doing a print interview or anonymous like I did with C3P Meme. Maze is the best. I don't know what y'all are laughing at because you're minutes behind, but maybe I did something funny. Appreciate y'all. We all over the map today. We got a lot. I got a lot of stuff bookmarked to talk about, and not just Joe Biden in a red dress. let's take it off, politics and all together. There's this great account called Fascinating. There's probably a lot of people, thinking back to the 90s and when wrestling was fun. Andre the Giant, rest in peace. He was the textbook lovable big giant, kind of like a Shaquille O'Neal, but even bigger. And they resurfaced this clip, and it's just amazing to see how much of a monster this dude was.
Let's take a look at the size of your hand. I want to compare it to mine. Fans, take a look at this. Can you believe that? Perhaps even, let's compare it to the size of my head. Andre, I have one more favor before we must sign off. Ray, would you be kind enough? I would like to try that very attractive sport coat of yours on. Could you give me a hand with that? Is that possible?
Can we do it the other way? Can I try you, Coach?
You'd have no chance with that. Oh, my word. Take a look at this. Custom-made clothing. Andre, we'll start this way.
It's buffering here, but classic video. I'm thinking from the 90s. This looks like early 90s. What was the name of that, the announcer? I forgot his name. Was it Mean Gene? Was that Mean Gene? No. I forget his name, but he was an epic announcer. And hopefully my internet's not out. Oh, shoot. My internet might have problems. So hopefully it doesn't freeze up on the stream. But, Black Pegasus stuff. We got not only Patriots of American Republic in the chat, YouTube royalty, Prime Animations, and Patriots of the American Republic loyalty in the chat. We've got Black Pegasus. He always comes up in the chat when it's something off topic, though. I'm talking about Andre. Well, this is a good one. It's not like I'm talking about somebody's banana. What's up, Black Pegasus in the chat? What's up? Oh, keep pushing. Yo, Andre the Giant documentary movie is fire. I've heard about that. I think I started. I never finished that, but I might want to go back and reread that. But with this video, all he does is he continues to put on the jacket, and obviously it's oversized. This reminds me of good times, when times were more simple. I was going to say we were more honest with each other. I think there was a little bit more honesty, but then there was also more ignorance as well. And as the internet blew up, we kind of found out more about each other, maybe too much about each other, and then the social divide through the CCP came through. But go sub up. If you're not following Black Pegasus, go sub up. The channel is just, Black Pegasus, I'm going to take credit. I called this a long time ago. The channel's blowing up. It's one of the best channels out there. I follow quite a few hip-hop based channels. I used to be a hip-hop, not a real scratching DJ, but just on a radio show, picking songs to choose. That's kind of why I like to end my videos with hip-hop or music. And it's the best hip-hop channel out there. Authentic, funny. He does a lot of reactions to freestyles. Great stuff with Black Pegasus. I gotta get Black Pegasus on. I don't think I've ever even had Black Pegasus on. That's embarrassing, to be honest. If he's willing to do it, we'll definitely have him, Don, anybody associated on. Great stuff. But I got a lot of rando type videos I wanted to kind of digress into. One of them, so that was one with Andre the The other one was Joe Brandon, and this one is, I don't know if it's funny or not. So let me just preface this one. This could be a disturbing one. I don't want it to be disturbing, but it's kind of, I don't know why it's shocking to me. It was shocking to me. So somebody posted this video of this dude doing this dance game, and the dude is just killing the dance game. He's just absolutely killing it. No audio to this. So he's on, those games where you go to the arcade and then there's the light up at the bottom and you've got to put your feet where the blue and the red light up. Your left is on the blue, your right is on the red. This dude is on the game playing it on like some super advanced level. Basically, he's tap dancing like even better than tap dance. Not better, but it's all over the place. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. These kids out here can kind of move and they play the video games. They know it so well. And then I look at the comments and I'm like, wait a second. Christopher Nolan? And I'm like, wait a second. And I'm like, I'm stunned. This is the dude from the awful incident in Sandy. I'm like, whoa. And then this person, Hoodlum Dudlum, posted that was acquainted with another adolescent that he played video game Dance Dance Revolution, that's the name of the game, with on a regular basis. They would meet a few times per month to either play the video game or go out to the movies. AL and his friends talked about multiple topics, including computers and all kinds of stuff. I don't even know what to do with that topic. I just thought I was like, wow. And then somebody was like, you say video games cause this kind of stuff, this violence, but these are the video games that obviously he mastered the video game. Just, I don't even know what to say. I don't know. I don't have a comment other than it's stunning. I appreciate the information to see it. I don't know if it's relevant or if it means anything, but that was the person involved with the unliving in Sandy. And I'm talking about the hook. Crazy stuff. The hecklers are at it again. They came for Nancy P this time. They came for Nancy P, and they're planned.
See, that's a very good place for you in the depths of hell, because for some reason you have a very bad obsession of getting us into war. Hey, why is it that
So they came for AOC. This looks to be the same group, at least the second guy that you're going to see here. This is Nancy Pelosi at some type of town hall-ish type meeting. She's on a stage, and she's getting heckled for her love of war.
See, that's a very good place for you in the depths of hell, because for some reason you have a very bad obsession of getting us into war. Hey, why is it that you did not admit that there were no WMDs in Iraq? You lied us into a war in Iraq. You got us into an invasion in Afghanistan. Now over 90% of those people are impoverished and are dying. Why don't you tell the truth about Nord Stream? Why did we destroy Nord Stream? We're leaving millions of Germans without energy. You have a knack for getting us into war. People like you should be arrested. You are a war criminal.
Hey, Congresswoman, I came to see a warmonger, but you're a sad old drunk.
Get out.
What happened?
Get out.
When you went to Taiwan, were you looking for Ukraine? Did we blow up the Nord Stream on accident or on purpose? Did you know about that? Aren't you supposed to be part of the indictment tomorrow? You're a war criminal by definition, Miss Pelosi. You got some nerve. Is that why you're here in Manhattan? Is that why you're here? Because you're getting indicted tomorrow, you goddamn war criminal? How many people have died in your fucking name? How many people have died because of Iraq? All of you forgot about Iraq? Get out of here! Iran, Libya, Syria.
Dodd-Frank was always never going to work. If we don't deal with the $600 trillion in derivatives, then there's no chance for this economy. Don't you see it all fail? None of it worked. None of it worked. We need peace. Even the Democrats are you stupid.
And then you land your plane in Taiwan. We want a war with China at the same time. We want to all have nuclear bombs dropped on our heads. We live in Manhattan.
I have to ask you to leave. Thank you.
By the way, Lyndon LaRouche is back in a big way, and I'm here on behalf of everybody who loves peace and not war with Russia and war with China and a new hot war with the East.
Ooh. I would say, well, I'm quick to talk about people who don't have courage. If you are going to step up to Nancy Pelosi is one of the most savage people on the planet, on the face of the earth. That's just my interpretation. And woo, if you're going to stand up and heckle her live, you have courage. And these are people who know that she's savage. These are you can tell that it was planned out. For one person, so somebody's in the crowd sitting down with the James O'Keefe talked about this when he went to New York. He was like, what you need is the mic by you. So you need a phone by you for the mic. Then you need another person taking the video because you can't do the video and the mic very well when the cops are dragging your ass up out of there. So you've got the audio from the cell phone and the video from your person in the crowd. And you saw they had probably at least 2, 3, 4, 5 people. And then while they're dragging the one out, how much security do they have? The next person gets up and says, yo, Dodd-Frank wasn't going to work. Talking about the financial, reform bill that came after the Great Recession in '08. And so then the next person says, well, what about Taiwan? Then the next person says, well, what about the Nord Stream pipeline? Then the next person. So they had that planned, organized. So they're talking about Lyndon LaRouche. That's a leftist. I'm not familiar. I think Lyndon LaRouche is, they were talking about labor. They're saying there's going to be a labor, I think, movement in the country. But number one, I respect your courage. But my feedback is, what does it accomplish? It's a culture jamming thing, because I'm showing the video. We're all looking at it. So it's bringing attention to it. Only but people online is not bringing MSNBC attention to it. So I just caution, not against you, just like any, MAGA going to protest in New York. What's the risk versus reward? Do that analysis for me. What's the risk? Me in jailed, imprisoned, heckling Nancy Pelosi? The risk is up to and including turbulence. Yeah, the type of turbulence that Hillary C. would have you involved with. And then they have cause of death, parentheses, turbulence. You'd be like, what? I never heard of turbulence killing anybody before. Yeah, mess around. You mess around and take a crap in the aisle while Hillary C. and her daughter are watching a play. You're going to mess around and find out that you unlived yourself and you didn't even know that you had those problems. You didn't even know that you had mental problems. Next thing you know, there's a story about how you unlived yourself. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That is the risk, though. Let's not play games. We'll be on Twitter talking about, damn, what happened to Jose or whatever? I forget the name of that group, but what happened to them? They used to do those culture jamming things. Oh, damn. Unlived, parentheses, fell off of a cliff. Damn, that's messed up. That's not to be funny. That is the risk. What's the reward? I don't know. They have to do their own analysis. I don't know what the reward is, but it wouldn't be for me. Let me just say that. When I talk about Nancy P., I'm giving her props because of her assets. She presents herself well. She's a gilf in that aspect, if you're into that. So I'm giving you nothing but props, Nancy P. For those who are into that lifestyle, Richard, maybe you're into that too. So I do that with the utmost respect. And I said, if I saw Nancy Police, let's call her Nancy Police. I kind of like that nickname. Nancy Capitol Police in public. I'd be like, yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Do you need extra support, ma'am? I'm happily married, but if you need extra support, I'll be there for you. What do you need, ma'am? That's what our interactions would be about. Taking a turn to, this is going to be, I don't want to lose track of my passion is bringing the channel together with the populist left and populist right. And that means bringing up people that you might not agree with on everything as far as their ideology. So what does that look like? We've got someone running for Congress in South Carolina in the 6th District. His name is Marcel Dixon. So Marcel Dixon is running, and I want to make a point of saying Marcel Dixon is someone who I want to support. That's just me. I absolutely want to support him. And here's why. He's not MAGA. I think he's a real person. Marcel Dixon tweeted, y'all donated 2,000 yesterday. We are just 8,000 away from our goal of 10,000. By April 13th, if 80 more people donate just $100, I can pay for more flyers and a series of commercials. Every cent is appreciated. This is Marcel Dixon. I've been following him a lot. I found out about him through friend of show, Generational Change, Jen and Peter, and then even before that, Tony from TD Media, TD Hip Hop Media, who has a great YouTube channel. But he's, identitarian, more on that side of things. But Marcel Dixon is for reparations. I'm not for reparations. But that's not the point. In his district, And if I had the funds to support him, I would. I've not donated to him, but if I had the funds to support him, I would. Real people cannot run for office if they don't get real support. Marcel is in, I think his real name's Greg. I think Marcel's a nickname or a middle name, but Marcel is a real dude running in South Carolina, the 6th district. Who's there? Jim Clyburn. He is a black Nancy Pelosi. Not as good political. He's a political beast, don't get me wrong, but he's like a JV version of Nancy Pelosi, which is no shame. That's a beast. That's like saying you're a JV version of Michael Jordan. Nancy Pelosi is one of the greatest politicians of all time. That doesn't mean I agree with her, just from the standpoint of promoting your ideas and amassing political force. Nancy Pelosi is one of the greatest, and so is Jim Clyburn. Been around since the overtly racist Brandon. His opponent is Jim Clyburn. Jim Clyburn is the machine, a part of the machine. You're not going to get MAGA in the South Carolina 6th district. It's not happening. But you could get, and I've had interactions with Marcel Dixon. He's pro 2A. He's anti, I'm pro-choice, but he's anti aborting fetuses. On many issues, he will align with those of us closer. He's a populist left. One of the major issues is just race and reparations. Other than that, he aligns a lot. He's probably more of a socialist, but he's open-minded. He's someone you can work with. And my point of bringing this up is, in order for the country to change, it's not just MAGA. It's bringing up. MAGA's not getting that seat. It's not going to happen. So you would rather get behind, if you can, get behind people. So he gets into Congress. He won't agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene or Matt Gaetz on reparations. We're up front with that. You ain't going to get help. You know what? I'm open to negotiating anything, but that would have to be a heavy ask to trade something for reparations. I couldn't imagine what it would be. So it's not happening. But when we talk about First Amendment and other things, he would be aligned. He would not be afraid to work with MAGA on those things, unlike a Jim Clyburn. So in order to change this country, it's going to take more than just supporting MAGA. It's going to take more than just cleansing out the establishment Republicans. It's going to be getting more people from the opposite point of view in DC, so you have somebody to work with. Very passionate about that. I fully support Marcel Dixon. I think he's somebody you can work with. I would not overthink it. Let me give a little clip to show a little bit of how he views things. This is an interview.
He has openly said that, he want to remove qualified immunity from bills. We know he has been a person that's not been on the side of the black community.
So he's on an interview with this channel. Let me give credit to the channel. This is African Diaspora News Channel. So this is going to be tailored to obviously identitarian in nature. I think there's a better. I'm gonna look for a interview. I'm gonna do another video on that. I'm gonna do another video on his views, because I want to accurately bring out where he might agree with a lot of people in the chat. So if you go on a channel like that one, you're not going to see, he's going to have to bring out the views where, I might search for the interactions. We've actually had some interactions where he's been very, very reasonable. So if you're on a channel called African Diaspora, then you're going to be talking about the African diaspora. It's not going to be a balanced discussion. But if you talk to him about other topics, he's very open-minded. He's always up for debate. That's one big thing. Notice somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're always up for debate. That is a big thing, to debate peacefully, talk about their issues. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, they're all up for it. When's the last time you heard AOC say, let me sit down with you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, and have a forum type discussion? You won't find it. And that's telling. It's not an accident. So that's Marcel Dixon, Marcel for Congress. And you can get people in Congress who are real people. Jimmy Dore's. I think Jimmy Dore is more base than Marcel, but same type of thing. He's a leftist that I think you can have some good interactions with. I'm on Twitter right now looking up to see. I'm just trying to see, what did we have interactions on? I agreed with, this was Nina Turner calling out Ted Cruz. I'll have to do it. I'll have to do the research to get it. You dumb MFers. Where'd that come from? Marcel for Congress tweeted, "This pathetic excuse for a leader is telling the people that built and are still owed by the nation." He's talking about reparations. And this is Ayanna Pressley. So he's coming on top of Ayanna Pressley talking about immigrants. Then I said, Trump 2024 then, right? How many people complaining about this voted for Biden? So that's why. So we're probably not going to agree on that one. But I'll look it up. We had some good interaction, which might surprise you. Very authentic, open for discussion. She would never do that. Carlos, Patriots of American Republic, said, "I would love to see AOC debate Candace Owens." Oh, she would get destroyed. Candace Owens is a better debater, period. So if you take AOC's positions and flip them around, kind of like a debate exercise, have Candace Owens argue in behalf of AOC's positions, and then have AOC argue in behalf of Candace Owens' positions, Candace Owens would still win the debate. She's just a better debater. And then on top of that, you give her the vantage point of having the stronger argument. AOC wouldn't debate Candace Owens in a million years. There's a 0% chance. Candace Owens is, you don't want those problems with the debate with Candace Owens. She is impressive. She is an impressive debater. She's not afraid to talk to anybody. And what makes somebody an impressive debater, especially in her realm, is she's not afraid to agree. If you make a point, it doesn't matter if you're Hawk Newsome or AOC. If AOC was in a debate with Candace Owens and AOC said something that Candace Owens agreed with, she would say, "I agree." And that gives her the carte blanche to just absolutely destroy her in a debate. There's no way you can overcome that when you can't do the same in return. Going back to the trans issue for a second, I just had this video saved, so we'll go back to that. Always like to highlight the homie, Elijah Schaefer. Elijah Schaefer had a funny tweet here. Here's another trans video. Maybe I'll put it up on one of my other channels that I haven't been uploading videos to. Here we go. Showing off some nice pink boots.
Just wanted to show off my new boots and say that I will piss on the steps of 10 Downing Street before I use a men's bathroom. So to the UK government and the EHRC, go fuck yourself. Thank you.
So it's just another situation where you have a man dressed as a woman, don't know what other things that they're doing, saying that I will not use, flat out, will not use a man's bathroom. Elijah Schaefer says, "It's so sad when you're an ugly guy. I know the pain, so no hate." I will co-sign as well. Only to spend, for me personally, only to spend your precious time and money to look like an ugly girl instead, and blast your mental illness online to cry about which bathroom you use. This is an adult. Hard to believe. So we have to talk about this stuff respectfully, but being nice to feed into somebody's delusion is not a nice thing. If somebody says, "Hey, I'm a biological man, but I identify as a woman," this is Blair White. People bring up Blair White a lot because I think that's her position. And it's a lot easier for me to call her a her because of that. It really is. It's a lot easier for me to call her a her because she acknowledges I'm a biological man, I identify as a woman, and it is what it is. I'm not sensitive about it. Here's what it looked like, though, when you gotta, I talk about this a lot, but this happened where I don't know how he fell for it. This is a little Boosie. You might have seen this. I'm going to show this through Officer Tatum because this is where I found I didn't hear about it other than Officer Tatum. So this is Officer Tatum video, and Boosie got caught with the okie doke. There's no problem with it.
This is a new model that's in Sports Illustrated. What do you think of her right here?
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is a new model in Sports Illustrated, and he should have been, when he just out of the blue, Vlad TV, he doesn't usually just bring up random models for his the person he's interviewing to say are they good or not. So Boosie, first of all,
spider sense start tingling.
They should have been tingling. Like, wait a second, why are you bringing up some random sports model for me to say yay or nay to?
This is a new model that's in Sports Illustrated. What do you think of her right here?
Nice.
Yeah. You digging that?
Nice.
This right here, first transgender Sports Illustrated swimsuit model.
Oh my God.
Dang, little Boosie. God. It's okay, man. I have no problem with it. I tell you, man, if that it's not for me, but I don't blame you. I wouldn't have known either. But I thought it was kind of funny because I brought up Blair White. That made me think of that clip right there. Nothing wrong with it, man. I'm not against it. Do you? There's a lot of Transformers out here. You can't tell if they're Autobots or Decepticons. So move swiftly. I mean, move carefully, I should say, with caution. If that's what you want to do. I got a couple more topics here. I just want to go through the comments. Cubans can't stand her. They heckled her out of Miami years back. I think Carlos is talking about Nancy Pelosi, right? Wow, hardcore. Ray Studios came in the chat. See, that's why I got to stop and take a look at the chat. What's up, Ray? We're going to do a show Sunday, noon Eastern, 10 Mountain. We're gonna no politics on that. We're gonna do a no politics show, just to switch things up a little bit. Looking forward to that. Ray and I haven't gotten together in a minute. We do have to get together on politics too, though. that definitely has to happen, man. Things are getting wild out here. I have to hear. I don't even know what his takes are on some of this stuff. It's getting crazy out here. I'm interested in. Finding out what's going on with Charlie Kirk, because Charlie Kirk I don't know if he was there at the TP USA event or if it was just his event. But let me go to Charlie Kirk right now live before I do some other stuff. I just want to see. I want to see how he started the show today. Did he do his show today? Because I know he's on the road. Okay, so I don't think he did a show today. I was curious to see what his take might be on the TP USA event that happened. That's how we started the live today, talking about the TP US event with Riley Gaines, and it was it's getting heated, man. Very heated. He looks even more heated than BLM. It looks way more heated than BLM to me. Let me go over to this story. DeSantis is we have a lot of people, Florida friends of show here on the channel, and they would know more about this than me probably. But just looking at the news here, DeSantis and the Disney battle still going on. Big battle going on there. Buckle up, everybody. DeSantis escalates Disney dispute, eyes hotel taxes and road tolls. So there's been some criticism back and forth of DeSantis had his chest puffed out. Was it puffed out enough? What's going on? Buckle up. The beef between Disney and Governor Ron DeSantis, and I obviously side with Ron DeSantis here, began last year when the company opposed the state's parental rights and education bill. I think one of the biggest problems that he had was they misrepresented the bill. They lied about the bill. I don't know how much beef they would have had if Disney would have told the truth about it. But he promised a new round of action against Disney in this ongoing beef, looking at taxes through hotels imposing tolls on road. Woo! Administration is also examining if a recent agreement approved between a Central Florida board that had been controlled by Disney and the company runs afoul of the state's growth laws. According to senior administration officials, one of those laws explicitly states that development agreements must be modified or revoked to comply with laws, even if the laws passed after the agreement was executed. So it looks like they're going to the courts, is what it sounds like to me. They are not superior to the people of Florida, DeSantis said during an evening appearance at Hisdale College, the conservative liberal arts college in Michigan. So come hell or high water, we're going to make sure that policy of Florida carries the day, and they can keep trying to do things, but ultimately we're going to win on every single issue involving Disney. I can tell you that. Some people say it's just words. And I haven't heard a governor have words for a corporation like that in a minute. That's why I think DeSantis should stay in Florida. The way that he handles things is not playing the same way on the national level. You have to get into topics like the Sunflower Country, Don Dada's, Pappy Don's extradition potentially. You're not strong on those. You don't have the same energy there, but you got the right energy against Disney. You don't want them to leave, but they can't be there under these terms. So if you want to know why I say I fully support DeSantis in Florida, I think he's been great in Florida. You get outside Florida, we have to start talking about Israel. You get outside of Florida, we have to start talking about the Sunflower Country. You get outside of Israel, we got to start understanding, do you understand MAGA? I am voting for nobody who doesn't understand MAGA. You don't have to be MAGA. Comic Dave Smith isn't MAGA. That's who I'm voting for now. I'm going to transition to him here in a second. That's who I'm voting for now. But he understands MAGA. And he's basically, his message is, MAGA, freedom is what you really want. I think this is what you really want. And I can articulate these issues better. So DeSantis, go do your thing. Rumble, young man, rumble. Just drop out. I know you didn't announce, but drop out. That's my take on that. Mises Caucus kind of promoted Dave Smith on with Tim Pool. What an amazing show, man. He was on fire. Listen to Comic Dave Smith if you want to know why I'm supporting him for president. Just listen, relax, take notes, and enjoy.
Few years. I think that's where we're going, is back down to 0% interest rates when all of these banks really start failing, which I think is inevitable. And this is kind of like, if you're familiar with like the Austrian economics, which is the only good economics out there, I really encourage everybody, if you're interested in the topic, to look them up. Basically, the way like the boom bust cycle works is that when you have artificially low interest rates, you build up bubbles. When the rates start inevitably coming up, those bubbles burst. It's basically like it's like price fixing, like anything else. When you fix the price of the cost of money, which is all interest rates are, is the price of money. When you fix those, you get investments you wouldn't otherwise have. People borrow money when there's very low interest, when they wouldn't have borrowed that money at a high interest rate loan, because that makes it profitable. However, once the interest rates start to come up, as is inevitable, then they realize, oh, this project was never should have been, started to begin with, and then you have this whole collapse. All of these banks are completely built now because this insane policy, which is, if we survive, historians will write books about how crazy it was that anyone let this happen, that we had from 2008 through, with slight interruptions, almost through 2021. We had 0% interest rates. There was zero. The Fed fund rate was either zero or a quarter of a point or something insanely low. And all of these banks have been built off of that at this point. And just for a little bit of perspective, for what Volcker had to do under Ronald Reagan to rein in the inflation of the 70s, he brought the Fed fund rate up to 20%.
Yep.
Okay. Now the thing is, they weren't $30 trillion in debt back then. We can't do anything like that, or it would pop this entire bubble. So we're in a bad spot. Yeah.
I say we got to get it over with, man.
That we'd be better off in the long term. This is another insight of like the Austrian economist, that like you're better off in the long term to feel the pain now and then at least start building from scratch.
Yes. And you're talking about somebody who has command of the issues. These are issues we need our commander to have command of, and Donald Trump does not. He's rich, he understands the markets, but he doesn't understand this. or he doesn't respect it enough because he was a part of this problem. He didn't articulate. It would be one thing if Donald Trump articulated, I had to sign these bills during the pandemic to stop the suffering in the short term, but we're going to have suffering in the long term. He didn't, I never heard him articulate that. And the suffering that they're talking about, we're not talking about little bitty suffering. We're talking about a year or two. He's talking about interest rates, bumping them up to like 20% or something, really where they should be, to stem inflation, cut down the spending. I mean, we're talking about depression type, or at least for a year or two, suffering. So I would caution, off topic, I would caution Tim, because Tim's well off. Is, you know, I don't count anybody's money, but the impression is that Tim's well off. And you've got to be careful if you're going to say, let's do the suffering. Yeah. Let's do the suffering now, because if anybody's going to be okay, it's those who are well off. So if you're going to say that, I would couch it. I would couch the statement with, I understand. This means like chaos in the streets. This means like people unable to feed their children suffering. This means like hands, weapons, fighting over loaves of bread type suffering in the short term. So I understand that take on it, but I just played that to show you the command that he has. Let's go to some more stuff. Why that's the financial stuff. Why am I a big Comic Dave Smith? Why do I say Comic Dave Smith over Donald Trump? Let's listen to that here. Talking about the CBDC.
They're talking about the CBDC starting the central bank digital currency in July now.
There's been a lot of talk of this. And they're trying to gauge it. And this is why I say like it's the most important issue to like spread awareness about right now, is that people go like, listen, under no circumstances do you go for this, because what's going 100%. On right now, and this is something that happens a lot, is they put these feelers out and they gauge how much resistance there is to this. But like the white pill in all of this is that if there's too much resistance, they will pull back this idea. If you remember, Joe Biden floated out national vaccine passports.
Yep.
And they float this out through like their corporate press outlets, and they go, "Oh, we're talking about this." And then there was a big uproar about it, and then they pulled it back. They go, "No, we were never talking about doing that."
Never talking about that.
Obama announced that we were going to invade Syria. There was a huge pushback to it, and he pulled it back. We didn't invade Syria. We only covertly funded ISIS, but that's a story for another day. But even with like SOPA, if you guys remember the original plan of regulating
SOPA
the internet.
and HIPAA.
Yes, that's right. They floated this out. There was too much resistance, and they pulled it back. So like, there is actually a lot of power. There's a reason why they try to propagandize people. There's a reason why they use propaganda, because they recognize that they actually do have to like have at least a level of tacit support to get these policies through. So like the central bank digital currency is the big one right now to me. Like oppose that as vocally and as loudly as you can. So they feel like they have to pull this back, because that's game over for us.
So that's Comic Dave Smith. And then I'm going to end with this on this topic. This came up. It came up early in the Timcast episode. This is funny. I did not expect it to come up this early. They wasted no time in kind of intimating to, hey, Comic Dave Smith.
Yeah. What do you
are you going to run for president? They didn't come out and say it. This was even funnier how they did it. It was very sly.
I agree. Yeah. What do you think about the upcoming election? You gonna vote Trump?
No.
Do you think you'll vote Libertarian?
I think there's a strong chance. There's a strong chance that I could vote Libertarian. We got to see who the candidate is.
Who do you know what I mean?
So, I mean, there's so many great options.
Vermin Supreme.
Man, I mean, that guy gets up there. I'm obviously going to vote for him.
He's running Libertarian?
Oh,
I
don't
always
know.
does.
He's running around his living room in his boxers. Who knows what he's doing?
He's a Democrat, though. I think he runs as a Democrat.
No, he's been dragging down the Libertarian Party for the past.
Those days are over. It's a new Libertarian Party now.
So who are you guys fielding then? I want to know.
Well, we've got a lot of great candidates.
I want the
That's a very non-specific answer, Alvin Bragg.
That's the most specific I can give you. I don't have to give you a crime. I don't need to give you a crime.
I don't tell you anything.
But I will say, no, I would. I'm interested. I will say that Donald Trump's rhetoric over the last.
I agree.
That's the clip there. It's almost like flirting, and you don't talk about like you want to bang, but you just. It's like nobody said Comic Dave Smith's going to run for president, but that was my favorite clip. It was a great episode, but that was like the funny moment for me in it. I'm just going to end on reading this. I don't talk about Comic Dave Smith enough. I'm going to have to talk about him more often. This is my dude right here, my pick for president. What bold messaging means from a libertarian perspective is telling the truth. If there's a libertarian who is telling the truth, there's no way that it isn't bold messaging. We are all radicals. We live under the biggest government in the history of the world. As Martin Luther King once said, the United States government is the biggest purveyor of violence in the world. A Comic Dave Smith. There's nobody better on foreign policy than him. When is he going to announce? I was hoping before that episode that it was going to be on that episode. And I was shocked because when they had flirted and brought it up, I was like, damn, that was less than 20 minutes into the episode. And I was like, oh shoot, he might have an announcement. So all that timing has relevancy behind it. So I don't know if now's the right time or not. That stuff gets complicated, but we're on the watch. We're waiting. We're waiting to see when Comic Dave, well, I am at least, waiting to see when he announces. Let me know if you guys, is there anybody in the chat that likes what Comic Dave Smith has to say, but just goes with the he's not electable card? Anybody out there feel like that? Carlos, financing. Oh, so this is good. Carlos is a financial person. His take is, I would not recommend just letting the bubble burst. The poor will get hammered, and only the rich will continue the game. That's the other thing. Through all this stuff, the rich keep gaining and gaining. So if you want, so Tim says the bubble to burst, and I think Tim would agree completely. He only wants the bubble to burst. And I usually won't speak to somebody, but I think I'm pretty confident I know Tim's views here. He doesn't want the bubble to burst and rich people to gain. What he means is, assuming that we do it the right way, let's burst the bubble and go through the pain. But you're right. Why would we burst the bubble when we haven't even solved, like, the Federal Reserve is the problem. We can't stop them from printing money. So how's the bubble going to burst? Here's what it sounds like. This goes a perfect segue into this clip. Janet Yellen. I said, why does our Secretary of Treasury sound like a housewife running up the credit card at Neiman Marcus? This is legit. I'm not even trying to be funny. It's a legitimate question. So how do we go through a pain period when the people in charge of the money sound like this?
You're going to drive the debt from somewhere around $32 trillion up to about $50 trillion, correct?
Yes, but what I believe is the single most important metric for judging the fiscal stance of the country is real net interest as a share of GDP.
Okay.
We have
so are you concerned
large
when you're taking the debt from $32 to $50 trillion? Are you concerned who's going to buy that debt, and also at what rate they'll expect to be compensated for buying riskier and riskier debt? Are you concerned about that?
Well, if the real net interest cost of the debt remains low relative to GDP, and we're on a sustainable fiscal.
Well, we're not on a sustainable path. You're going to drive the debt from somewhere around $32 trillion up to about.
So he's basically saying you're going to put us in more debt. You're almost going to double the debt. Isn't that something we should be concerned about? Her Secretary of Treasury is like, no, not so much. We'll look at the other measurements. So no, we can't go through a period of pain when those are the people in charge. And Congress doesn't even put in check the Federal Reserve. There's no check, there's no auditing, there's no checks and balance there. They're separate basically from the three branches of government, and they just let that money printer go brrr, brrr, just burring all over the place. And that's the problem. And we're seeing news about the US, the dollar crashing, all in that same realm. They're trying to make their own currency, I've seen as well. I don't know if that's official yet. Just looking at the kind of the news cycle with what's going on with BRICS. So we're printing the money. They're trying to take us off I was going to say gold standard, the oil standard. That's a problem because we don't have anywhere to wash our money if that's the case, or we have fewer places across. We still would have countries friendly to us. What I mean by wash that money is when we print the money, we go over there and use it to change it, exchange it for oil, so that takes it out of circulation. A lot of them take the money, they put it in banks, and it's just sitting there. That helps stop inflation. If we're just printing the money and nobody's taking it or fewer people are taking the money, then where is it going to go? That's how you get bread costing $100. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm simplifying it for the discussion, but that's the concern. If Saudi Arabia is now cozying up to China and they're going to trade in yuan, and Russia's cozying up into China, we're pushing them to that way, sanctioning them, doing a proxy war against them. So they all get together, Brazil, Russia, India, China, Saudi Arabia. They get together and say, we don't have any. The dollar is our dollar only has value because the world has faith in it. It's not backed by gold. They're over there buying up gold. China's over there buying up gold so they can back their money with gold. And that's just a wrap. So if I give you a piece of paper and it doesn't mean anything and nobody has faith in it anymore, we're over here arguing about transformers. We look like fools. I mean, we look like complete idiots on the world stage. Why does that matter? That matters because the currency that a fool uses, are you going to trust it? So if you have some buffoon or whatever coming up to you and they say, I'm not really a woman, I'm a man, and they dress like a man and take hormones to be like a man, munching on hormones, or the vice versa, and you're like, that's kind of weird, okay? And then they say, well, you have to call me this pronoun, and you're like, that's kind of weird. No, I don't. And then now you're a bigot. Next thing you know, you're fired or whatever else. Are you going to trust the currency from the asshat that has that position? Say that same asshat says, I have this money. It's called critical gender theory dollars. That's what our money's looked at now in the world. We fall victim to this ideology, so we take out our dollars, and it's not the 90s anymore. It's not the 80s. It's not the 70s. It's definitely not the 60s when we're still backed by gold before Nixon took us off of it. Our American dollars, if you look at it, put on the face of whatever currency you want, Dylan Mulvaney. Does anybody have faith in the American dollar if that's what it is? This stuff matters. So if the globe, if the world, they're like, man, they falling victim to that Chinese game. Man, they fell victim to that. They fell victim, hook, line, and sinker. They took down a statue of Thomas Jefferson from their financial capital in 2020 or 21, whatever it was, during the height of the George Floyd bullshit. They took down the statue of their founding father and put up a bust of a domestic violence accused person, a druggie, and that's not to say bad as him of a person, but that's what he was. George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, they put busts of them like they were in the Hall of Fame in New York and took down Thomas Jefferson. Why? Because they said he had slaves. That's why. Well, everybody had slaves back in the day, but the whole new thing, the 1619. So they did that. We are now the court jesters. Our money isn't backed by anything other than bullets and the strength of the military. Our military is not strong enough to go against Brazil, Russia, China, whoever, India. India is supposed to be our ally. They cozying up to China. Saudi Arabia is supposed to be our ally. They're supposed to be our bitch. No, not anymore. They're like, we'd rather be China's bitch. So they're looking at us like, you the United States of Dylan Mulvaney's right now. We laughing at your ass. Your currency is worth as much as that Bud Light with that cosplayer woman face on the can. That's what your currency is worth to us. So good luck with that, is what they're saying. We make it our own currency. Why do you think they sent what's her name over to Africa, Stacey Abrams? Why do you think? I heard that Obama. I haven't read the articles, but I think it's real. Obama's over going to Kenya. I gotta read it. Isn't his dad from Kenya? That's kind of a weird kind of dynamic. I saw it on April Fools. I thought it was an April Fools, but Africa's a big deal because they're trying to get Africa into that too and soak up all their resources and get them in debt to China. So when you look at it, it's happening quicker than I thought. They're looking to adopt and go more outside of the U.S. dollar. Not that China's economy is built up on a facade as well, but they actually are buying up gold to back their currency though. And then they're in a tough position because they have American debt. Our debt is to China. But you mean when you look at it, yeah, but who's in the worst position? The people that owe the money and then their money's backed by nothing and they keep printing it, or the ones that are buying gold and can absorb the debt? So I think China is a much better financial position right now. And we're over here battling. We don't even know what a man or a woman is. You don't think that matters? You don't think that's going to play a role in how much of our dollar's worth? There is no dropping bombs. There are no drone strikes. There's no taking out leaders that's going to solve this. I think the United States government is considering the digital currency to control the amount of dollars in circulation with allies like NATO or whatever else. So you can take it out of the system and keep the value of it high. And you can say, hey, this is what I think companies like Disney are doing is they're banking on the CBDC and a social credit score to knock out the competition of Prime Animations, to knock out Broken Traditions. I just saw, he said, I'm not trying to put it on display. I just don't know where to put it. I did get a Mac Mini just so that's all I had to say on that topic. Broken Traditions, what's up? This is the Mac Mini. I didn't even put it out there like that. But what it helps is I don't have to take my laptop and unplug it. And then that's how I have mic problems. Because every time I take my laptop and unplug it, I got to come back, plug it in, make sure it's on the right setting, on the right mic. And now it's all set, shouldn't be touched. My family knows, don't come down here and touch anything that's set up. I don't move the camera. And if I have 15 minutes, I can run down here and go on StreamYard, do a 15-minute video. Hopefully no hum-tums, no edits, and just upload it. I'm trying to get efficient. Broken Traditions, you know how that is. Thanks for stopping by. Nathaniel Erskine says more than half the U.S. currency that has been printed is outside the USA. If everybody wants to cash in at once, eggs are going to cost $35. So that's how we play this game. I'm not any expert. I just, from a general reading about it, this is what I feel. We're printing money, and you've got to wash it. You've got to get it out of the U.S. so it still will have inflation because it's still out there. But if you get it out of the U.S., it won't hurt as much. So there's Nathaniel saying more than half the U.S. currency is outside the U.S. A lot of it is in foreign banks, just sitting there. So they don't want the dollar to crash, but what will happen is they'll slowly convert it out. And then they won't be using the dollar anymore. They convert their dollars to yuan or whatever else, new currency or whatever else. And then we're going to be stuck with all the dollars. All those dollars will mean nothing because they're just out there and meaningless. Just basic supply and demand. You got too many dollars, they don't mean anything on a macro level. Now, what does that mean to the common person? I just say, one, wherever you have to have income. Well, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'll just say don't take any advice from me. But my thought is saving money for rainy days. Companies are going to be laying off like crazy. We're already seeing it, but I don't even think it's started yet. You're seeing, because AI is coming up too. Companies are looking to get McDonald's. They're already laying off. They're looking to get robots to drop the fries. The McDonald's by me, the workers don't even pour the drinks anymore. It's a robot. It's not a walking robot, but it's just a drink. Says you want a Diet Coke, boom, fill it up, 2 seconds. And pretty soon they'll be putting the top on it. There's some Taco Bell, I think in Minnesota, where there's literally like 2 or 3 workers. You order it, and then however the machines do it, they pop it out to you. So you've got that on top of investors being tight on the purse, all of that. So my point is you got to diversify and prepare for a rainy day. Keep those funds tight and prepare to be able to make money outside of a corporation. Whether that's, I don't know what it is, hustling, however you hustle to make your money. Because there's going to be a lot of layoffs and stuff. I know that firsthand. So I think that's the take for a common person, not to be scared or anything like that and worry about stuff. I don't like worrying about stuff outside of my control, but I do want to know, how does it affect me in my control? Does it mean anything to me, or is it just following politics to follow politics? Anti-friend of show, Mr. Mistal, he had a comment about critical race theory in regards to the Tennessee State Senate expelling 2 black members, leaving 1 white member. Optics are terrible. Tennessee GOP, I don't know what you all were thinking, but let's hear what is it Ellie Mistal? What does he have to say? Constitution's sort of trash.
Tennessee has now given the entire country an object lesson in critical race theory better than any AP history course ever could have, right? Everybody sees it now. Everybody knows it now. Everybody gets exactly what's going on. To Harry's point about the Supreme Court, any argument that this was about decorum or the House rules in Tennessee, that the Republicans took that argument off the table for the rest of us when they decided not to expel the white lady, but they did expel the 2 black men, right? So that, I think, opens them up to a legal challenge that's even more serious than how I thought it was going to roll 3 hours ago. Tennessee has now given...
And I do agree with him from the standpoint that this is perfect critical race theory. And what that means is you just look at everything through the lens of it being racist. So for them to expel the 2 young black men and then the white woman doesn't get expelled, critical theory would look at that and say, let's look at it and view it. How could that be a racist decision? And you make that choice. That was a terrible choice. It makes it easy for those people to say that. Was it? It could have been. I don't know. But we don't know. I'm not saying it was or it wasn't. We deal with politics. We deal with optics. I don't know what happened. I have to do separate research to read articles or whatever. Maybe somebody knows. Broken Traditions might know. I think I saw you did a live on it. I didn't get to stop by, but I thought I saw, or was it on Trump? But I don't know what was going on for them to expel the 2. I know they all had different roles in this protest that was inappropriate, but the optics, you had to either expel them all or not. I would not have supported, just from an optics standpoint, expelling the 2 black ones and then not the white one. But, at the end of the day, here's what I reply. They can get wrecked. I did this laugh out loud meme and say, go ahead, get wrecked. I don't see eye to eye with you politically. You don't believe in the Constitution, so go ahead, get wrecked. I don't support the Tennessee Republicans, though, because all Republicans are not people I support. I only support MAGA. And Tennessee is the same place that did Robbie Starbuck wrong. So they need to get that right. We have to be careful about, so I want states to amass more power, but you can't let it be corporate power. Because then you get wrecked. You're just going to get wrecked by the red team instead of the blue team. It's got to be MAGA power. It's got to be MAGA-driven power. And they didn't... Robbie Starbuck, if you don't know, was running for Tennessee. I forget the district. And the Tennessee GOP did some type of rule, went through it and said, hey, we're kicking you off the ballot. He was by far the number 1 runner. And he's more of he's a populist. Free from the corporate stuff. And they got him. They did. The Tennessee GOP. Those are not people I want to have power over me. So I'm cheering a little bit. I'm like doing a soft clap. Because I don't know who you are. I don't trust you yet, Republicans. This was an unbelievable thread to talk about a serious way to talk about the trans issue. This is how I feel. This is Julie Hamill Law. I'm reading every word of this. Julie says, I was an ally long before being an ally was the cool progressive thing to do, before pride parades were blown up for mass consumption by Bravo. I hosted drag race parties at my house in DuPont Circle. I grieved the loss of my friend who took his own life because he felt that he couldn't come out to his parents. I hosted friends who traveled to the U.S. to adopt a child because they couldn't do so in their own home country. I have genuine friendships, business relationships, and love for people who are not straight. It's normal for me. It's life. They are just human people, and I don't look at them or treat them any differently than straight people. So I am deeply, deeply disturbed by this new militant woke movement to force allegiance with flags and pins and coerced statements. I am disturbed by the intense focus on teaching kids about sexual attraction and gender identity. I resent that anyone who speaks out about the horrifying things being done to young children in the name of gender affirmation is labeled hateful, bigoted, and transphobic. I resent the forced speech, forced conformity, the forced training and education to teach inclusivity in schools and workplaces. It's dark. It's not genuine. It's political. It's ugly. It's divisive. It is not love. It is not kindness. Go live your life and be a genuine human with authentic love and kindness towards other humans. You don't need to make a performance out of it. You don't need to publish a statement to show you're a good person. You don't need to dress up in rainbow colors or wear a flag or a pin. You don't need to say the line. You are entitled, at least in this country for now, to speak your mind in whatever way you feel fit. The First Amendment still protects against compelled speech. And to the young people in the LGBT community, know that people who don't wear a pin, wave a flag, attend trainings, say the line, are not trying to hurt you. Do not be manipulated by activist political groups. You are more than culture war fodder. Don't fall for the nonsense. You are loved. Bars. Julie Hamill. Julie Hamill expressed how I feel better than I could. Might want to read that like once a day just for a cleansing. There's sane people in this world. Thank God. My goodness. There's real people in the world. That's why I kind of like the chat. People in the chat like Broken Traditions and others. You know, we can disagree or whatever and agree, and it's not the end of the world, and it's all respectful. Richard's back in the chat. Richard, let's see what's going on. Richard says, the area where the two Democrats got expelled, the citizens get to choose a temporary representative until there is a new election. They're going to place those two as temporary. I don't know. What it reminds me of is somebody came over your house, you put their foot in their ass and kicked them out. I guess they could come back. I don't know the laws, but I'm sure there's a way they can get their ass kicked right back up out of there. Richard, why do you want us to share a government? I have nothing against those young men. We just don't share enough of a moral foundation to share a society. If they want to come back and say, how do we separate this thing? I would welcome them with open arms, because they would be on peace and they'd be solution oriented instead of trying to do their protests or whatever to amass power. I'm tired of us trying to struggle over power over each other. There's always going to be that, but we're too far away for that. We don't see the world the same way. We don't like each other's worldviews. We think each other are political enemies. Why would they want to be back in the Tennessee Capitol? Why don't they say, let's annex the county or something like that, or organize a mass move of anybody who believes what we believe? Let's head out to California or New York, or I don't know, one of these weird blue areas, Oregon or Portland, wherever they are, Washington, D.C., or the state of Washington. What do you think about that, Richard? If I was in power, I'd be like, I'll chip in money to get your ass to move the hell up out of here and turn Tennessee and Nashville red, and go to San Francisco. I hear they got beautiful open drug markets out there. Enjoy the view. Why don't we do that? It would be more productive. We wouldn't be fighting anymore. We'd all be better off. This is no different than any discussion that all married couples have. Like, why don't we just go separate? The kids, we're not doing the right thing for the kids. You move over there, you live over there, I'll live over here. Let's make this amicable. Shoot, I'll chip in. I don't even have any money right now, but I'm trying to hold on to my money. I'll chip in $20 to have whatever, to a fund to have you blue NPC robot zombie flesh-eating transformer activist clowns to move to a new state, create a new state. I'm sorry that it's not helping with the description, but this all hypothetical. If it was really going to go down, I would refrain from, openly saying what I view you guys as, because you guys are getting dangerous, just openly dangerous. And we haven't got to Pride Month. Pride Month is going to be wild this year, yo. Look out for Pride Month. When is Pride Month? It's always in the summer. Woo! Like, it started with it was just a fun stuff. Then it was kink belongs at Pride, and kids need to see it too. Then it was the dancing with the kids watching. What is it going to be this year? I have no idea what it's going to be this year. Go have it in your haven. Is it San Francisco? Is it New York City? Is it DC? Is it Portland? And we still can be amicable state to state, but we need to clean that out. We can't have what we have now. So they might be able to come back, Richard, and I'm sure there's a way that they're asking to get kicked out. And let me make my position clear if you just don't know where I'm at. I'm beyond the Constitution and law. We're well beyond. I don't care what's legal or not, constitutional or not. Obviously, they don't. So as a defense mechanism, I can't. I didn't make the rules. They did. Tell me what you think. You got the Country Music Awards. It's not in Nashville, it's in Austin, but they up on there with a bunch of nothing sacred for these non-leftists, but the Country Music Awards, they had Transformers up on the stage like it was no different than the Grammys. DeFreak, what's up? What's up? Thanks for stopping by. DeFreak's probably like, what the hell did I jump into? Richard says, I think the individuals that don't want people who are different around them than the one who want to be with like-minded, they're the ones who should leave, not everybody else. We're in the stage of, I'm not even going to argue against that because that's not a correct, if you're trying to say that that's my position, that's not my position. Because if you want to share a society, you have to be able to agree on certain ground rules, certain beliefs. And at a certain point, we are not peers anymore. So it's not that I don't want different people around. I just talk about Marcel Dixon. We completely different dudes. I said support him if you have the means to. So let me not even argue that. We're down to who has the power, Richard. And if we have red states, the red states have the power. And I don't want to do anything bad. I'm just saying, hey, California, they have their voting system set up. Colorado has a voting system that you can't trust, in my opinion, set up. And those are blue states now. So get your ass up out of there, go to a blue state. That applies to, I'm in Colorado. It applies to me too. Get your ass up out of there and go to a red state. It's not one way. That's a funny way to agree with me, Richard. See, you see what Richard did there? That was a funny way. Richard agreed with me. He just wanted to phrase it as, you get out. No. We both separate. And why would, if Tennessee's a red state, why would the people in the red state get out? You have to get out. You up in the house with, if it is, I don't know if it is. If 80%, 75% of the people, maybe it's a majority blue state, then the red would have to get out. But right now, they flexed on y'all to the state capitol. So they were just like, Get your ass up out of here real quick. That was a political flex. So it looks like a red state, at least the state legislative body. There's plenty of states with blue. Colorado's got blue legislative body. They can do that same flex the other way. I'm for it. I'm for it always. We'll be better off. We'll be honest with each other. That was a weird way to agree with me, Richard. Nathaniel Erskine says, instead of exploiting people's mental illness and arm them presumably to terrorize people that are not left, maybe you should leave. Yeah, I'm not saying to be violent. I'm just saying let's separate it. And Richard says the society ground rule is if it's not hurting you, leave them alone. That ain't the ground rule. Who says who? What happened in J6? I'm not going to go through all the stuff again we talk about all the time, but that's not the rules they're playing by. So that's not the rule I'm playing by. If we out in the street and something happened and somebody goes hands free, like whap, 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 I'm not going to play by different rules than that. We're going to go hands free. So I don't know what you even mean by that. There is no ground rule. The only ground rule that people with your ideology have, Richard, is that you agree with them. So, yeah. That's where we're at. So I'm going to head on out. Appreciate everybody. I'm going to get some lunch, go work out. Have a great weekend. See if I have some chance to go live or upload. So much to talk about. I'm going to look at the comments before I go out. The Freak says, if someone professes Jesus Christ and agrees to the U.S. Constitution, you're in my faction. Yep. And you have to prove that with your actions. But yeah, original interpretation, not a living, or an original interpretation of the Constitution. We have to agree on that closely enough. Nobody's going to agree 100%, but closely enough where we don't have a societal divide that laws can't fix. Nathaniel says, I'd consider the trans movement with 6 victims claimed so far to be leftist terrorism. Look up the definitions. I'm not going to put that on the whole anybody who's trans, but I will say if you want validity to your trans movement, you shouldn't be at the Tennessee State Capitol saying you ban books, you ban drag, kids are in body bags. You probably shouldn't say that. That doesn't lead credence to your movement. Bill of Rights as well. So, yep, I'm going to be out, everybody. Thanks a lot for stopping by. I'll be clipping up the stuff, and I'm going to see how I'm going to do it. I'm going to be archiving the lives. You'll still be able to get them podcast, Apple, Google, podcasting them for members. If anybody takes a few quarters out their pocket a month to throw to your boy, I greatly appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, stopping by. Comments, anybody listening to the live, contributing as a member, only $1 a month. I'm considering making a higher tier. I'm going to go wild, maybe $3 a month. I got to provide the value, so I don't want to overreach, but I appreciate everybody. Thanks a lot. Take care. I'm out.